You looking at you?
What are you gonna do?
Absolutely nothing, because I'm lazy and you're too far away.
I know men out there cheat and are super sleazy. But
So do women.
Right.
So and women do everything that she's accusing her man doing in this email.
Yeah.
This entire email is victim mentality. We don't do that here.
No.
So if you guys are new to the channel, on episode 29 of the podcast, if this is the first one you're watching, we don't do that. We take accountability and extreme ownership. That is a huge premise of our podcast. When people have asked you to do makeup tutorials and space buns tutorials, and what are you doing?
A space bun tutorial, because this isn't. It's not content. This is what I do. I split my hair down the middle. That's it.
Ta-da!
And okay.
Why'd you look at me instead of the camera?
Because I know you like that face.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So dumb. Well, I heard that performance issues happen with men my age. Apparently it did. So for those of you who might also have performance issues, you should check out Titan Medical. How about that for a segue? Link in the description. If you haven't had your blood work done in a while and need your hormones checked, they're a place that we recommend going to. Totally improvised.
That was good.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting a limp dick microphone, but it happened. So
You gonna tell them the code?
To Be Better Titan will get you $50 to $75 off your first interaction with them for your blood work. All that's in the description. It should be. I don't know. I don't handle any of that anymore, so I don't know what's what anymore. But that was pretty embarrassing. Not being able to keep it up.
I'm very impressed. That was good.
Was it?
That was a really good segue.
Hey, I think we're over 93,000.
No, we're not.
We are. Yep. 93,247. I think it might be time to start cleaning out the garage. Make room for a new car, maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. Getting close.
I love all of this for you.
Yeah. Well, we'll get a YouTube button at 100,000.
I'm excited about that YouTube button.
Apparently, you can get more than one.
Really?
You got to buy them, but you can get more than one for your channel. AJ said he wanted one, so we could get 3 buttons, one for each podcast room. Yours, well, it'd be ours. One for each of us, but one in this room and one in the other one for when the whiskey room is done, and then one for AJ. Make him pay for his own though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot to talk about today because we're going live tonight, and I don't want to waste. I guess it's not really a waste. I don't want to have a whole lot of in-depth discussion now and then have to repeat it tonight for the live stream. So
we can talk about that TikTok that I saw. So basically, I believe it was the Whatever podcast. I'm not sure though. They had this girl on there and she was talking about how she was dating a dude and she was using it as a psychological experiment to see how much she could destroy this man's psyche. And she was like, oh yeah, it's a pastime of mine, a hobby of humbling men. How horrifying.
could you imagine how that would play out if that conversation was had in the opposite way?
Oh, it would.
I love to abuse women.
There would be
Because that's what that is.
riots.
That's abuse.
Yeah.
It's okay though, because it's a woman doing it to a guy.
I heard that and I was just absolutely flabbergasted. Like, no wonder men are really turning away from marriage. That's just foul. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not empowering.
No, it's not.
It's very disgusting human behavior.
Yeah, it blows my mind that people treat other people like that and expect it to just be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand that there are shitty people out there that do shitty things to people, but to like set out to just be that person.
So this email is called Overcoming Good Intentions. Overcoming Good Intentions. I don't know. Okay, so the intentions might have been good, but the result of it wasn't.
Yeah. Road to hell is paved with good intentions.
I've been dating my boyfriend for a year and a half. He has been amazing in every way I could ask for, and we moved in together a few months ago. Everything has been amazing until last week during dinner when the kids, when he casually brought up that he uploaded a video of me to TikTok. I was already screaming internally when I asked him what the video was. He replied that it was me singing while cleaning the house. He had gotten the video from our security cameras. I didn't know he even watched the cameras. I'm a very private person and kept my friend group small. So I can understand wanting to be a private person. I would assume you would be checking security cameras.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, our security cameras are on TV out there.
Right.
I'm like Scarface in this motherfucker. This is the only room that I can't see the cameras in.
Mm-hmm.
Every room that we are in consistently, I can see the cameras in. Well, I guess it's not true, but our main rooms.
Yeah.
I do watch the cameras a lot more than I should.
Let's see. I'm a very private person and keep a friend group small. I don't leave the house without being fully dressed in long sleeves and pants. I have also never sung in front of anyone, not even family members. The video showed me in a tank top, no bra, and pajama shorts. I didn't say anything in the moment because I didn't want to lose my temper in front of the kids. I just got silent. That's a good move.
Yeah.
Just getting silent about it instead of exploding in front of the kids.
Yeah, I agree.
Later on, I asked him how he could do that to me, and he said he knew with the encouragement of the internet, my self-esteem would go up and I would come out of my shell, and all I feel is betrayal.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, I would feel very violated. Yeah. In a moment where I thought that I was by myself and I was just doing my thing and I'm dressed comfortably. Yeah, I don't know. You're my husband. You know I don't leave the house looking like that. You know I don't want to be seen in the public view that way.
Mm.
I can understand wanting to encourage the wife and be supportive and boost her self-esteem. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah. I've posted a video of you in doing your plants, singing that song to Discord.
Yeah.
But it never got put into a YouTube video or anything or onto TikTok. I don't think it got put on TikTok. But those moments, like, I tell you, can I post that? Mm-hmm. We share this, like, the world can, this is funny. This is good content. But to do something like that while somebody's at home by themselves, like you said, it's dirty. Mm-hmm. It's dirty. Like,
what are you looking at?
What do you mean, what am I looking at?
I don't know. You like looking at something.
I was looking at the ball mic on your microphone.
Oh.
You looking at you, fucker?
The fuck are you gonna do?
Absolutely nothing, because I'm lazy and you're too far away. I guess it's just an impasse. Or you win. I don't know.
That could have been a very exciting moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm lazy and you're too far away.
How unfortunate. All I feel is betrayal. I don't play music or sing anymore. I feel like I have to make sure I'm fully dressed in my own home and I just do my job and sleep. I feel like I'm being spied on by a micromanager. He has suggested couples therapy, but I don't see the point. I barely want to look at this man in the face anymore. Should I pursue therapy with him?
All of that because he posted a video of you dancing and singing on TikTok. I don't want to look at this man anymore.
So she feels very deeply violated.
I get that. Why not just remove the cameras from the house? You don't need them in your house.
Right.
You need them on the outside of your house. So if somebody kicks your fucking door in, there's video of it. Or if somebody keys your car, there's video of it.
Yeah.
What do you need them in your house for? I don't understand the need for that. Are you like trying to make sure your dog's not chewing the couch up? Can you talk through them? Like, I can understand that. You got like teenage kids that you need to check in on when you're out of town. Like,
yeah. Is there like a health concern that someone needs to be monitored?
Right. I can understand that, but to just have cameras in your house, seems fucking weird to me.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a massive violation of trust.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if he deleted the video.
I hope he did.
I wonder how many followers he has.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I wonder how many people saw it. Views, comments, likes, and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because if millions of people saw that, it would definitely enhance it. If 15 people saw it and he deleted it.
That's nothing.
Right, but it's still 15 people they all know.
Right.
Right, because when you got small following like that, it's all your real friends.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a really shitty situation. I would like the way that she is, or the way that I'm interpreting the way she's feeling from this email is this is like akin to her being posted nude on the internet.
No, I agree.
So.
They say they were married or dating?
They are dating and just moved in together a few months ago.
Didn't say how long?
They've been together for 1.5 years and moved in together a few months ago. That's it. Just dating. This could be something that you guys really test to see if this is something you're willing to overcome in the relationship. This could be an obstacle that you guys look back and be like, yeah, we did that. Or this could be, this was your hard boundary. This is something you didn't communicate is your hard boundary. And now going forward, you know, this is something that needs to be stated is I'm a very private person. I don't want to be posted on the internet. If you would like to post something, I would like you to ask my permission before doing so.
I think that's the simple solution.
Yeah. This makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be posted online that way. I get that this is her boyfriend. I guess I feel differently because you're my husband, and I would expect you to know that. That I wouldn't want to be.
You'd expect me to know that?
Yeah, if I'm somebody who was this way, who wanted to be presented to the public in a very modest, covering myself up, I don't want to be looked at. And then you turn around and post a photo of me in like booty shorts and then my nips out. I'd be a little bit like, damn. All right, I guess you don't know me as well as I thought.
I think the simple solution in this is that they just need to talk to each other, and he needs to delete the video. If she's still super bothered by it, they need to take the actual cameras out of the house. And if that's still not enough, therapy will work. But at a year and a half in, like, if you can't get over this, there's going to be a whole lot of other things that are going to come your way that you may not be able to get over.
Yeah.
That violation of trust is a violation of trust. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Nope.
This one is titled Men's Natural Urges.
I'm willing to bet this has to do with infidelity or corn.
Yeah.
Maybe OnlyFans or inappropriate Snapchats.
Thirst trapping on Instagram.
Things that we have discussed. What episode did I say this was? 29?
I think so.
On at least 26 other episodes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
That's actually not. Actually, you know what? It probably is accurate when you factor in sideshow, side pieces, bonus content.
Patreon.
We probably have covered this at least 25 times.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hello. I first found you guys on TikTok. I immediately was drawn to you both because you represent a relationship my husband and I try to uphold.
Okay.
My question is, do married men ever stop wanting other women?
See?
Whether they want to admit it or not, do they ever just feel content at home?
Do you think that I'm satisfied at home?
I like to think so.
Do you think that have I given you any indication whatsoever that I am fawning over other women?
No.
Even once?
No.
So then it's possible.
It is. She goes on to say, I know this can depend on their home life.
Exactly.
So I'll give you an example
Exactly.
of ours.
No. Exactly. It depends on their home life. That's it. That's the answer to your email. I'll listen to your example.
Yeah.
But it's fucking irrelevant because you just said exactly what the whole fucking point is.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm done.
No, you're good. I just think about all the ways that I keep you satisfied in our marriage.
It doesn't take much.
No.
Do you think it's because I'm simple and that I just...
I don't think it's that you're simple. I know what you enjoy. I know what satisfies your needs for attention, or like I randomly send you booty pictures.
Yeah, you send me lots of nudes.
Because I know you enjoy it.
It's flirting. It's keeping that intimacy alive.
It's a little moment in your day when I know you're sitting at the computer and you've been editing for 3 hours. And I send you a little picture and you're like, oh yeah, that's mine.
Yep.
My life is so dope. And then you get back to your thing and you're a little bit happier than you were 5 minutes ago.
We're also not selfish.
No.
There's lots of intense play that is very one-sided for the other person. Mm-hmm. And that satiates a lot of want and needs for people that need that attention, because attention meters are being maxed the fuck out in those moments. I think that in the beginning of relationships, people are very selfless.
Oh yeah, they go above and beyond.
Right. Until they get comfortable. And then that control sets in, and that ownership sets in, and that comfort of life sets in, the routine. Mm-hmm. And then they become selfish because it's no longer about the other person, it's about me.
Yeah, that ownership kicks in.
Right.
You know, I live by that. Yes, I am your wife, and I will always be your girlfriend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And side piece and porn star in the bedroom, and yeah, that's how that's supposed to be.
I'm all of it.
I'm going to put your name in my phone a second time with a different name in it so that I can call and talk shit to my side piece.
Oh, yeah?
Send you dirty texts and be like, don't let my wife know. Can make a whole thing out of it. If you really need attention from another person, why not? Give ourselves different names, go on dates and act like we're two totally different people.
At what point does that become dangerous?
What do you mean?
Like pretending you don't know each other and going on dates and getting like that excited feeling, and then it only starts happening when you pretend you don't know each other.
It wouldn't make me excited.
What do you mean?
There would be no excitement there.
Yeah.
To pretend that I'm going on a new date, I fucking know that you're my wife.
Right.
So regardless of the joking and the playing around and pretending we don't know each other and like using fake names to do the dinner thing, like.
Right, but I mean like the flirting aspect of things and the touchy feeling and the.
I have that in my day to day.
Right, but I mean like in general. When do you think that could become an issue?
I don't.
Like there's a lack of intimacy at home, but when we pretend we don't know each other and we're on a date, you're all over me.
I don't think that would be the case for most people.
No.
Nope. I think it would be a fun little game to play. I don't think that it would. I honestly don't think that would change the intimacy of a relationship. It would just be something fun to do for an evening to pretend to be different people.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest, you know who your partner is. You know everything about them. So unless they're making up bullshit about their lives and you're laughing about it the entire time, it's bullshit. And I would be like an international man of mystery.
Right. I was just thinking, be like, I'm an architect during the day and an international spy at night.
Yeah. These tattoos aren't real. I drew them on with a Sharpie before I came on my date. Deep down, I'm Post Malone's manager.
I knew it. I could tell.
I don't know. So that shit would just, in all honesty, I view that as just like a joke night.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the only thing that could change the intimacy in that entire scenario would be the fact that you're actually going on dates again versus working your ass off all the time. Because that's what most people do.
Right.
Here's a thought.
A thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, here's a thought.
I like hearing about
I'm tired.
What a fantastic thought.
Right. Here's a thought. People who are single only have to take care of themselves. They're not working extra hours. They're not working overtime. They're not trying to, I mean, obviously they should be trying to level up, but they're not dedicated to their job the way that they are when they've got a family to support. When there's another person and kids depending on them, they tend to put in more hours and work harder because now there's lives looking at you to, you know what I mean? To lead and for men anyways. So it's a lot easier for a man who's providing for himself in a small studio apartment with a car that's paid off to fucking go to dates and spend that time out because he's not working more than 40 hours a week.
Right.
Then you get married and you have kids and you got a mortgage and you've racked up a fucking ton of debt and multiple car payments and credit card bills and Christmas funds and college funds and fucking Roth IRA payments and
now you got to handle your wife.
yeah, and then you got to handle a woman on top of all of that. It's fucking exhausting. And the dating is gone. The money is gone for most people. They're living check to check.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why they don't date anymore. People decide they want to live outside their means. Most men, when they're alone, don't do that shit. They don't. They stack their money. That's why when a lot of women first meet men, they got money.
Right. And then over time, to impress, they spend it.
Yep. Or they're trying to level up together. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's not a derogatory thing. I think it's good that couples get together and level up.
Yeah.
But the dating aspect of all of that on the conversation that we were having, I think that couples go on dates less because of stress, finances, exhaustion from overworking, kids.
I think there's a lack of communication there that builds up a resentment silently.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's not hard to be like, hey, I need some fucking quality time with my person. Like, let's go do something. It's really not hard. Taking the time to do shit can be difficult, especially if you own a business. That can be a nightmare at first.
You might have to schedule it.
Yep. Yeah. We have to do that shit from time to time. It is what it is.
Any other thoughts?
I got a lot of them, but I was trying to not talk a lot this podcast, and here I am.
Well, you're making very valid points.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into an example.
Okay.
Okay. My husband had just turned 24 when we met. He's now 30. Both of us had recently left long-term toxic relationships, and we both had one child from our last relationship.
Okay, so there's 2 kids involved.
Correct.
They both had long-term relationships. I would like to know how long-term they are if they were in their early 20s.
Right, are we talking like a year and a half, or are you guys together for 6 years?
Right. Well, I gotta be honest. Even if you're in relationships as teenagers, while one's living at mom's, or while like each are living with their parents, and you're not living together, those long-term relationships don't count to me.
Okay.
Yes, it's a relationship, but you have not begun to get fucked by the dick that is life as a teenager. So if you were in a long-term relationship from 13 to 22. That's definitely a long time, but that last 5 years where you're 18 to 22 years old, when life really started to beat the shit out of you, got a taste of what it is to be an adult, and your relationship fell apart. I just don't see that as the same as somebody who was in a relationship from 20 to 30 doing the adult thing. Like right. I see that those.
It's 2 different eras.
It's different life experiences.
We almost immediately decided we wanted to be together after dating for a few months, with stability and security on our minds, plus we did have a strong connection. About a year before we got married.
Hold on.
Okay.
Read that again.
We almost immediately decided we wanted to be together after dating for a few months.
Okay, so that's not almost immediately, but that's not what I wanted. It was the next part after that.
With stability and security on our minds, plus we did have a strong connection.
Okay, so they weren't dating because they were emotionally invested in each other. They were dating for a level up. That's how that reads.
Yeah, I would have put we had a strong connection.
Plus,
and we provided
right.
a stability and security for each other.
Because you're prioritizing the relationship over the stability and the level up.
Yeah.
Okay, words matter.
The way you structure your sentences.
Yeah,
matter.
dude, it fucking says a lot.
It does.
It says a lot.
About a year before we got married, my husband mentioned that he wanted to try polygamy. I am not bisexual and was very uncomfortable with this idea, but I explored how it all worked because I wanted the man I love to feel fulfilled. This never led to anything, and a few months later, I became pregnant and we married.
I'm curious if he wanted polygamy in that he could fuck other people and she could fuck other people.
Right.
Or if they were trying to have threesomes. Because that she worded it like they were trying to have threesomes.
Right.
Or they were trying to have joint relationships with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my whole understanding of that is limited. The understanding that I have in that, where I actually have an understanding, is that people get different things from different relationships in terms of emotional needs being met. But if you've had a monogamous relationship this entire time and all of a sudden dude comes at you and is like, hey, well, what about this? He's not happy.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you said this has never led to anything, was it just brought up once and never discussed again? All right, this conversation was not brought up again until 2 years down the road. He said it was just premarital jitters.
Then why was it brought back up? Did she bring it back up or did he bring it back up?
It doesn't say.
Okay. Details matter.
So it was brought up the first time, never led to anything.
He brought it up the first time.
Correct. Second time it was brought up, not clarified who said anything, and he said it was premarital jitters. He didn't really mean it.
Okay.
A couple years later, he brings it up a third time.
Then he did bring it up the second time.
Third time he did. Second time where he said it was premarital jitters, she doesn't say who brought it up. So a couple of years later, this is the third time, he is the one bringing it up this time.
Okay.
At this point, I'm a stay-at-home mom. We have a construction business. We are busy, tired, and stressed. We have 3 daughters, 6, 8, and 3, and are going through a custody battle with his ex. We have a healthy sex life. My husband suffered from depression some, and he was tired of construction and the toll it was taking on his body. He may have borderline personality disorder. I also fall into a mild depression along with cabin fever and losing myself as a person. He says I am not fulfilling his needs. He says I am never happy. I do not nag at him to do anything around the house or with the kids. He works and has the freedom to do his hobbies. He says he may have gotten married too early.
Dude's not happy.
This is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, but he's not happy, and he doesn't believe she's happy.
Right.
In that criticism, he said, I'm never happy.
Yeah.
He says, I'm never happy, which means he believes you're miserable. Mm-hmm. Therefore, he's miserable.
And she says, I don't nag at him right after that sentence.
Yeah.
It's not that you're nagging at him. You are literally exuding, I'm miserable in life.
It could be a whole lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes into living with somebody. It doesn't just have to be your verbiage.
Right.
Non-communication is 80% of communication. Non-verbal communication is 80% of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Body language, tone, inflection, the way you carry yourself, the things that you do, how hard you close the door, the way you greet people when they come in, like your overall presence in the home tells everyone in the home exactly where you fucking stand. Mm-hmm. And if you're miserable, people fucking know it.
Yeah. It sucks to say and hear from the person you're married to that they may have gotten married too early.
Yeah, he's unhappy.
We do have some heated arguments. He says I'm a bad communicator. I am not denying this. I am definitely not. He is very honest with me, and I do not fear he will cheat. But he tells me this is something that basically torments him. He says he wishes he could flip a switch to turn it off. So he has the urge to cheat on you, but he's saying it's not going to happen.
Doesn't sound like he has the urge. It sounds like he wants to start dating outside of the marriage.
Okay.
It sounds like he's trying to be honest about it.
Yeah. He says he would only explore this thought if I gave him my blessing, And I told him if he did this, I would not want to know. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. Some narcissistic tendencies, but I do not believe he is one.
Are you a therapist? Because you've diagnosed him with all kinds of shit. Borderline. He's now a narcissist.
Right.
I'm curious if you work in the medical field. Oh, no, she's a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
So she's got an internet degree. That's a whole lot of labeling to throw at somebody if there's not actually clinical diagnosis going on there.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're practicing medicine without a license. That's a felony in Florida.
Is it?
Yeah.
Holy shit. She goes on to say, I hate that I am not enough. There's a lot to unpack here. But the question remains the same. Do men ever stop feeling this?
Do you think that if I was not happy the way that I am happy, and you were not happy the way that you are happy, that you would not start thinking that the grass is greener on the other side? That somebody else might have a heated pool compared to your non-heated pool? That there could be a level up somewhere else outside of this unhappy marriage that you could potentially be in? That's how that works when people are unhappy. Your relationship is fucked up.
Right.
You can't communicate. He said his criticism, based off of the email that you sent, is that you're miserable. Mm-hmm. You said that you guys are arguing. You're labeling him as all kinds of shit, borderline narcissist. You're painting him in a very poor light in this email, and I'm sure that you're not intending to, but you are. And if that's the way that you treat him versus strangers on the internet, I can't imagine why he would want to fucking start trying to find somebody else.
I agree. I have a lot going on in my mind. There's so much to process in all of this. Everything you just said on top of the email is a lot. So, to directly answer a question, as a man, do men ever stop feeling this?
I don't feel that way. I don't need to go anywhere else. I have everything that I need in my house.
So she goes on to say he is not big on porn, nor does he follow scandalous women on social media, but he yearns, but he yearns to feel wanted.
Right.
So he's not feeling wanted by you. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's where, as you said, like the grass is greener on the other side. They probably have a heated pool.
Yeah.
Their pool's clean. There's a bunch of like leaves and shit floating around in mine. This thing hasn't been maintenance in years.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of maintenance in a relationship. If you want a clean pool, you have to clean the pool.
Yeah. There's so much more that goes into all of that.
Yeah.
I understand his want to be wanted. Mm-hmm. You know how often it is that men don't feel like they matter at all in their house other than a paycheck and a breadwinner? That's why men reach for escapism or start looking outside of their relationship because they want to feel like they actually fucking matter to someone. Mm-hmm. I know I matter in my relationship. Like in our relationship, I know I matter. I know that I am more than just income. I know that I'm more than just making sure that things are taken care of around the house because you treat me like I fucking matter. And even though we might have disruptions in our days from time to time, it goes right back to normal. Mm-hmm. Like there's not weeks of animosity between the two of us. We work to keep our intimacy alive, even when we're tired and depressed or when we're overworked and stressed out. Like that shit still continues. Mm-hmm. And there are times that it feels like fucking work on both parts. That's life.
Yeah.
You fucking do the work instead of making excuses. I don't know how we got here. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, it's all about the long-term goal.
Yeah.
I am willing to make myself uncomfortable. When I'm really going through a depression or I'm really anxious and I'm like really battling my demons, in those moments, I really do push myself, if I'm in the kitchen, to come and see you and like love up on you and be sweet to you. I'm willing to put myself in an uncomfortable position in that moment because I know in the long term, the return is going to be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the ROI that we talk so heavily on in the Passport Bros episode that we did of Ruminations and Revelations. Mm-hmm. That is a return on your investment. You are not feeling it in the fucking moment. You come over and you interact with me and touch me and we love on each other and you go back to doing what you were doing because long term, those moments add up to success. Mm-hmm. That's your profit long term because you did that little bit of work. You were watching the market when everybody else was going into the roommate phase.
How much does it mean to you? I know you can tell when I'm off and I'm going through it. How much does it mean to you knowing that in those times I do go out of my way to make sure I'm giving you the attention that I normally would if I wasn't depressed or anxious?
I got to be honest, a lot of the time when you're going through that shit, I try not to like be overbearing. Mm-hmm. And when I really notice that you're going through it like that, I try to be the one to like lay on top of you and like actually weighted blanket you,
I enjoy those moments.
or like squeeze you really hard in the kitchen or whatever, just to let you know like, hey, I'm still here, I love you, kind of thing. The fact that you don't give in to your depression and shit means a lot, because it's very easy for either one of us to fall into that and be like, fuck all this.
Yeah.
That self-destruct button goes from the size of like a normal joystick button.
It's the whole fucking wall.
Yeah. And it is. And it's trigger, like hair trigger.
Oh, yeah. I could blow on it.
Yeah. It's like 3/4 of the way depressed with a hair trigger. And we choose not to, we put a glass case over top of it to make sure that it doesn't get depressed. That's all those interactions.
I love it when you go out of your way. Like, I can tell when you're really, really going through it. Like, you're processing something really hard and you're really trying to figure out what you're going through.
Yeah.
On those days, and they're not frequent, when you go out of your way just once to like hug me or put your head on my shoulder or whatever you do, I really do appreciate those moments, because I know in those moments you don't want to be touched. You're in like overstimulated, overwhelmed, like everything's too loud and you can hear someone chewing.
Yeah. I didn't realize how bad that the sound thing was for me until the kids, like until you moved in here with the kids. And now I know that like that really is a thing for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I don't do overly populated places, because of the noise that gets going on and becomes too much. I didn't know that was a thing for me until like, I don't know. I just didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
And then I had sequences of events happen that
Solidified it.
yeah. But once I realized that it was a thing for me, it made me realize that for most of my childhood, I wore headphones.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was a backpack kid. I had headphones on all the fucking time.
Yeah. I hope I gave enough backstory here for this example. I know men out there cheat and are super sleazy. But
So do women.
Right.
So, and women do everything that she's accusing her man doing in this email.
Yeah.
So what, women are perfect and men aren't because she's a woman and he's not?
Right. She goes on to say, but my husband is more upfront about it and honest with me. Are there men like this out there with any advice? I want to try to put more effort in my appearance, and although I do not deny him sex very often, I try to not do it at all. What?
How often do you initiate sex?
And although I do not deny him sex very often, I try to not
at all.
do it at all. You try to not have sex?
No, she tries not to reject him.
Oh. I'm trying to become my best self so that he can feel fulfilled at home, which is beneficial to both of us.
Well, if you're waiting for him to initiate so that you're not rejecting him, and you initiate on two different things.
Right.
Ladies, if you were the one initiating sex constantly, do you feel wanted? Does that make you feel desired? That's why we get a whole lot of emails that are like, we don't ever have sex unless I'm initiating. What do I do? I want to feel wanted. That's what you're saying in that moment. He's telling you he wants to feel wanted. So are you going above and beyond to make him feel wanted? Are you guys doing what you were doing in the beginning of your relationship when you were in your 20s?
Right.
Because now there's the stress of a business because he owns a construction company. There's 3 kids now instead of 2. She's a stay-at-home.
Right.
She's got all this predetermined ideas of who he is as a man.
She feels she's the issue. Like she's not enough. When in reality, all you have to do is probably just tweak your intimacy a little bit. I bet it's not even the sex. When was the last time you just surprised him with coming home to his favorite dinner?
Yeah. What makes you feel like she thinks she's the problem?
She just said at the bottom of that email, I know I'm not enough. Or however she worded that. She said, I hate that I'm not enough. There's a lot to unpack here. I would ask him, what do you need to feel wanted? I can guarantee it's more than just sex.
I guarantee a lot of things. That last line of the email makes her to be the issue in the relationship in terms of her not being enough, but everything else that is in the email has made him the problem. He's a narcissist. He has borderline. He wants a polyamorous relationship.
Right.
Whatever it is. I don't know. It sounds like he's miserable as fuck. And if that's the case, and he's told you that you're always unhappy and he needs to feel wanted, he's telling you what he fucking needs.
Yeah, he's being very clear about it.
Yeah. So much so that you were able to articulate it to us in an email. I wouldn't want to be with a woman who's negative all the time. If I came home and my house felt like a dark cloud, I wouldn't want to be in it.
Right.
That goes the same with my woman. My woman was a dark fucking cloud. I wouldn't want to be in it. Like,
What am I?
you're not a dark cloud.
No.
No.
I would like to hear his side of this.
I would too. I'm curious if you've told him that you think he's a narcissist and that you think he has borderline.
If these are just assumptions and you're deluding yourself with this negativity bias based on him, that is 100% oozing out into reality, and he probably thinks you hate him. It just becomes more and more exhausting.
She didn't even say that. She said that he exudes narcissistic tendencies.
Right.
So she didn't actually call him a narcissist, but she called him a narcissist.
Right.
Because of the way that I feel about that word, every time somebody uses that in an email to describe their partner, it automatically makes me have a disdain for what we're reading and what we're getting into. But if she truly feels that he is that, the way that the internet portrays that to be, no wonder she doesn't initiate. No wonder she doesn't have a great attitude. No wonder she's always stressed out. Mm-hmm. She views her partner as the enemy. There's not like it doesn't sound like a loving relationship.
It doesn't.
In any way, shape, or form. And putting out just to put out because he wants it doesn't mean that you want him. It means that you're placating him so that he doesn't have something else to complain about.
Yeah, that just seems awful.
Yeah.
A dude can tell when you're not into it.
Yeah. Yep, and eventually they're going to stop trying if you're not into it.
Right. I imagine that would make a dude feel like greasy or dirty.
Mm-hmm. After a while, they're just going to be like, what's the point?
Yeah.
This isn't fun.
Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be fun.
Right. Stop it.
I can't. That's impossible. Next one. This one's just labeled hi.
Oh, hey there.
Hey there. I just found your podcast and TikToks a few days ago, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And I have a few questions for you. I'm getting married soon, and I am so excited. I am 23 and he is 25. We've been together for 2 years, and he is the only person I have ever dated, and I couldn't be happier knowing that I got to experience love right the first time. It's a very bold statement.
That is a very bold statement.
Very bold.
And you're also emailing us. Nobody ever just sends bragging emails.
Sometimes
that's a lie.
do.
We've gotten one or
do.
two of them. You're right. We have gotten one or two.
That first one where the girl was like, I took your advice and took his boots off.
Yeah.
That was a good brag email. I hope this is a brag email. That'd be dope. He is a gentleman, strong in his beliefs, identity, and his family raised him similar to how my family raised me, so we are in agreement of traditional marriage and roles. He has a wonderful job and supports me becoming a stay-at-home mom and homeschooling when we have children in the future. He is very protective of me and rarely lets me leave his sight in public. Not in a creepy way, just in a safety type of way. Provides anything I need and started making arrangements for our future financially before he even talked to me about marriage because he knew I was the girl he wanted to marry. I swooned so hard when he told me that. That's a lot to process. That was a very long sentence. We keep getting emails. I understand how you feel with all the screens happening now. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I swoon over you. Stupid. I was out there trying to read a book this morning. Oh my God. How did you feel when I texted you that?
At first I was like, what are you talking about? And then you sent the picture and I'm like, oh.
So I was out there working on choice theory for the live tonight, and I was focused. You know, I smoked a little bit. I was out there listening to the wind, enjoying myself, feeling the breeze. The sun went angled nicely through the leaves, so there's like little patches of light everywhere. And I'm reading, and I'm making my notes, and just a brief flash of you with no shirt on. I'm getting emotional. It's so gorgeous.
You're such a dork.
And I was writing individual. And I don't know. I felt like I had a stroke. I don't know what happened. But I wrote the word, and it just that one word too was absolutely awful. And I texted you that, and you were like, that fucked your shit up, didn't it? And I was like, oh, look at this. Yeah. I'm so blessed that God put this man in my path. Everything fell into place perfectly. But there are a couple of things that concern me. One of them being that he is very close with his mother.
She just said but, so everything that she said before that was negated.
Correct. So we have to word ourselves better, because you are correct. Every time you say, I'm so sorry I did this to you, but
yeah,
that means fuck the apology I just gave you. I'm going to rationalize everything I did and not really apologize.
yep,
So you can say everything before that and then go on to say, although here are a couple of things that concern me.
right.
Some things that I might need help working through. Are these red flags, or am I just overthinking it? I am so grateful he has such a close relationship with her, but it worries me that he may try to include her in decisions down the road that should be made by him and I as a team. Okay, I get that.
But why? Why would you feel that way? Has it happened before?
Let's see.
There's got to be a reason that's specific.
It is very specific, yeah. His dad travels a lot, so he had to be the man of the house from a young age, so he's used to making decisions with his mom. I love his mom. She and I have a great relationship, but I don't want it to become a party of three. There have been times where he's been thinking about something or needed an opinion, and he calls his mom instead of me.
I don't see why that's a problem.
Right. If it's like hobby questions, like, Mom, what do you think about this? I'm going to try a new direction in whatever I'm doing, or he's going to like upgrade his car. If it's like, I'm moving into a new house, how many bedrooms do you think I should get?
Right.
I would be okay. Why are you calling your mom about that?
Right. Even still, when you seek advice from somebody, you're doing it you want the advice from somebody who has life experience that you don't have.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if I needed to ask a question to somebody, I want the best advice I can get. So unless you've lived that experience and done those things, I'm not asking you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask John, or I'm going to call JJ, or I'm going to ask somebody I know that has life experience that has been through this shit so they can give me the pros and cons of things, and then you and I are going to talk about it. I talked to John. He said, da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Because now you have the same information I have, and we can talk about it.
That would definitely be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seek advice from people you respect and admire.
Right.
Not from people who don't have life experience in what you're trying to figure out. If you need law advice, you call a lawyer.
Right.
Right. They're young. Mm-hmm. They've been together for 2 years. He's had his mom his entire life, and he's close to her.
Right.
She knows him better than probably anyone alive because they have a good relationship. And if that's the case, it would make sense. He was the man of the house. Mm-hmm. He has traditional values. He has a good job. He started saving money. Old boy was raised right. He obviously has a respect and admiration for his mom.
Means he's going to treat you right.
Right. But he's going to get the best advice he can get. And if he feels like he's getting that from his mom, I don't understand what the problem is.
I agree.
Now, if he's not talking to you about it afterwards and you're being left out, that's a different problem.
I agree with everything you just said. If there's not a conversation afterwards of, this was the problem, this is some information I got on it from mom, what do you think? I guess, yeah, there would be an issue.
I wonder how much of that is also just him trying to stay in contact with his mom and be close to his mom still.
Right, just having conversation. There's things you talk to your mom that I don't know about, things I talk to my mom that you don't know about.
I don't need to.
Right, it's just conversation.
Yep.
You know the things that you're supposed to know about.
The important shit.
Right.
If it's not a life altering decision, I don't need to know about those conversations.
Mm-hmm. There's also been times I've been in the car with him and one of them calls the other and he has her on speaker and they're discussing something that I didn't even know was a thing because he didn't come to me about it. Even small things that are odd, he didn't at least mention to me.
You don't have to know every facet of his life.
I wish you would provide examples.
Me too.
I
got to be honest though. I understand her point because we have had conversations like this. Mm. I don't feel that your person needs to know every single detail about your life.
Right.
You just don't. So if he's had conversations with his mom about his day and you didn't have those conversations, maybe it's that he doesn't think that you're interested enough in what's going on, or he was venting and didn't want to vent to you and went somewhere else to do it. And though that could be viewed as wrong, I don't understand what the problem is. I tell people things that I don't tell you just because that's the conversation that's being had.
Right.
If it's not relevant to what's going on in our lives and we don't need to talk about it, why are we going to talk about it? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, there was a thread hanging out of the bottom of my shirt today. Does that benefit your life in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Right.
I often ask my parents for advice on something, so I understand him going to her, but we will be married soon. I want to be here and should be the one he comes to with things. I'm not sure how to address this without making him feel like I'm trying to split him from his mom. I had a couple of discussions with him over the past few months about it, and although he didn't get mad, he did get defensive. It sounds like you don't want him talking to anybody but you.
This is one of those situations where we really need to have details.
Yeah.
Because if you've never bought a house before, and he's interested in buying a house, and he's trying to data find, and he's going to call his mom because they've bought houses before, you don't need to know that until he's got enough information to even discuss that with you. Here's the scenario, and this is, I do this. I literally do this. So for everybody, you may not like this. You may not agree with it, but this is my brain.
Okay.
Full disclosure, 100% transparency. This is how my brain works. I will get an idea. Once I have that idea, I will start researching things. I will reach out to people I know that has information that they can give me that I would otherwise not think to search because I'm fucking new to it. And I'm going to get as much data as I can get while I am processing the information and the thoughts that I'm having. And once I have that, then I'm going to decide whether or not I want to actually move forward with something. Once I decide whether or not I want to move forward with something, I start researching it on a different level, and then I start talking about it. I haven't decided I'm going to do anything yet. My interest is now solidified enough that like it's time to step up. So the first two parts of that, the fact finding and discovering where my interest really lies, we'll take it as like if I wanted to buy a house. My first thought is going to be that, maybe I want to buy a new house. So if I've never bought a house before, I'm going to start asking people, how hard is it to buy a house? I'm going to Google that shit.
Right.
I'm not going to be like, hey, I think we should buy a house, because I don't know that we should buy a house yet. I think that I might want to buy a house one day and I need the information. So if I start doing the information and realize that it's way too difficult, or the money's not there, or I'm not in the tax bracket for what I want to own, there's no point in having a discussion about wanting to buy a house because I can't do it.
Right.
So I'm going to do the first part of the due diligence, make sure that I'm really interested, and that's what I want. And once I have that, I know I'm interested, I'm starting to step up my game, then we're going to start talking about it. Not talking about the potential of buying a house, but like, do you think we can afford it? Like, I've been kind of thinking that this is what I want to do. Nothing's set in stone at this point. And I'm going to continue to do that research until I know for sure that that's what I want. And then we're going to have that conversation. Okay, we're buying a fucking house.
Right.
This is what I know. This is what I think. And this is what I still need to figure out. Do you know any of this over here? And if you don't, then I have to call other people or do more Google research to figure that out, or start reaching out to fucking bankers or whatever the case is. But until I make the decision that this is definitely something I want to do, there's not a reason to talk about it. We're going to have a long, drawn-out discussion that's going to take hours and a whole lot of what-if scenarios and get our fucking hopes up, only to find out that we can't afford that or that it's not in the cards for us. I don't want to do that.
Right.
Why the fuck would I want to get my hopes up for something only to let myself down? It sucks letting yourself down.
I mean, yeah, all of that makes sense.
So maybe that's what's happening there.
Why would I not agree with that thought process?
Because why wouldn't, I don't know, maybe you'd want to be included in that what-if scenario. I don't know. That's the way my brain works, though. Like, I think that if you had, this falls down to details. If you had something that you wanted to do and you were just thinking that you wanted to do it, I don't want to know about it.
Right.
When you're sure that that's something you want to do and you figure it out, like the hows and the what's and the whys, then come talk to me about it. You can tell me all about it.
Right.
I'd love to hear about all of your interests and your thought processes and your theories and how it would work and how you're going to set it up and all of that shit. But when it's just maybe you want to, unless you're wanting to get my feedback on it, I don't need to know about all that. Is it something that we can have a conversation about? Absolutely. We could go to dinner and you could be like, hey, I was thinking about maybe having a plant hobby. What do you think about that? And we can have a discussion about that if that's really where your head is at.
Right.
But if it's a fleeting thought, I want to grow plants. I want to have a garden. And tomorrow that's not a thing. And we had a long drawn out discussion and now I'm starting to figure out how we can make the yard work for your garden and get a greenhouse and do all this shit. And you're like, yeah, it was just a thought. I don't really want to do it.
It's a waste of time.
That's my point. That's my point.
I could be putting that energy and resources into something that could actually be a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that having those conversations are a bad thing. Like I said, if we went to dinner and you were like, hey, last week I've been really thinking I want to do some plant stuff, and we had that discussion, even though you weren't really there yet, I could either hype you up or maybe give you some feedback. But that could be a discussion that we had at dinner that lasted for a full hour, and we could get a request for connection from each other and have that, and that's healthy. But maybe not everyone does that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to be honest. I really do break things down a lot in my brain, and I research shit a lot before I talk about it, because I don't want to be like, hey, I want to do this, and then find out that I'm not capable of it.
Or I hit you with a question and you don't have an answer to it.
Right. And that's happened. That's the worst.
Yeah, I hate being caught like, oh, damn, I should know that.
Right.
All right. So she said, I understand him going to her, but we will be married soon. I want to be and should be the only one he comes to with things.
That's not true.
That's not true. You should not be the only person that he comes to with things. I have people in my circle, like my friend who I used to work with at AT&T, that I would reach out to for womanly spiritual advice. I'm not coming to you for that.
Right.
You don't know the inner workings of being a wife or a stay-at-home mom. I'm not going to ask you, hey, how should I talk to God about this? Because it doesn't make sense to.
Right.
So saying that I should be the only person he comes to with about things, that's a very illogical and very unhealthy thought process.
Right. If we had details, that conversation would be different.
Yeah.
Because if this is one of those things where he's going to his mom about your relationship problems, that's
a problem.
An entire different conversation than the one that we're currently having.
Mm-hmm. But there's nothing here.
Right.
No details.
But to think that your partner should only go to you about everything forever, you guys are going to be fucking running around in circles chasing each other because there's not enough knowledge between the two of you to live life you're in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my 40s and I still reach out to people that there are people out there that know more than me.
Mm-hmm.
I hire people that fucking know more than me.
Yeah.
How many times have you come to me and be like, I don't know. I have to do research. Let me call someone. It happens.
You saying that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Definitely.
Babe, I want to get into plant stuff. What do you think about this? I don't think about plants at all, but I got somebody. I'll call them.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how to address this without making him feel like I'm trying to split him from his mom. I had a couple of discussions with him over the past few months about it, and although he didn't get mad, he did get defensive. I told him I think we should set up some boundaries and that we should start working on things just as us since we will be married soon.
I agree with that. You should set boundaries.
Mm-hmm. He didn't disagree, but I could tell he didn't like what I said about boundaries. I'm a more introverted, passive person, and he is very energetic, extrovert, so he tends to take charge of situations anyways, but I should at least be kept in the loop with things. As I am more passive, I don't know how to bring this up again in a more effective way. I am not good at handling conflict, especially with somebody like him who is very confident and assertive. So you just be direct. Oh, I trust him fully, and I know he has my best interest at heart. He is good at taking my feelings into consideration, but this topic seems to be harder for him to understand. That I should be his number one with these things, and that I should have a desire for it. Oh, and that I have a desire for it. I will submit to him as his wife, as I should, but I don't want decisions to be made only by him or him and his mother. One of those categories being financial decisions. Hold
on. I have been quiet because I was hoping that you would jump in and like attack some of this shit. There's a whole lot there, and all of that, that's a problem for me. So I can see why he would be getting frustrated. And I'm gonna start at the top of that.
Okay.
You said that I lost it.
Do you want me to just start over?
No. Yeah, back up. Go back.
I am more introverted. I am a more introverted, passive person, and he is very energetic, extroverted, so he tends to take charge of situations anyway.
Okay. So it was something before that, but let's just start there.
Okay.
So in that scenario, she's saying that she's an introvert and he's an extrovert, but she doesn't want him to just take charge and handle things. So she doesn't want him to actually lead the house. So she doesn't want a traditional setup. Mm-hmm. She wants to submit to him as a wife, but still wants to make decisions or be included in the decisions. And that's fine. Being included is healthy.
Right.
But if you want your man to lead your household, you have to let him lead the household. And if you're an introvert and he's an extrovert, of course he's going to take on that role because he's an energetic, outgoing person who is used to doing those things. You then fast forwarded to at some point you said something about him reaching out to his mom about finances.
Right. So I will submit to him as his wife, as I should, but I don't want decisions to be made only by him or him and his mother, one of those categories being financial decisions.
How much experience do you have moving money around? Have you ever had a job where you've made more than $100,000 a year? Have you ever held more than $25,000 in cash in your hands? Have you ever had to have a credit card that did not have a limit on it that you had to pay at the end of every single month? Have you ever had to buy a house? Have you ever dealt with a 2-week notice? Have you ever dealt with severance pay? Have you ever dealt with a Roth IRA, 401k? Have you ever dealt with money on a real level that's not a fucking part-time job or full-time job, a lower level entry job? Because his mom probably has.
Yeah.
At some level dealt with some of that, whether it was her own money or someone else's.
Yeah, I'm not willing to make financial decisions that I'm not very well informed on.
If I was getting ready to do something that cost a whole lot of money, you would be the last to know about it. And that I'm calling everyone I know that has done shit like that to make sure that I'm making a good decision. And once I have all of the information and all of the facts, then you and I are going to sit down and be like, okay, here's what I know. Here's what I think I can do and what I think I can make happen. And here's what it's going to cost us. How do you feel about it? Because I'm giving you a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't want to be a part of the conversation without that information. How much is it going to cost? Oh, you don't know? Then why are you telling me?
Right.
You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how it's going to affect us in 6 months. Well, you need to figure that out, and then we can have the conversation.
Right. There are things that I know that you don't, and there are things that you know that I don't. And if you don't know something, I'm not coming to you for advice.
Right.
I'm going to get all the information I need, and then we're going to discuss it so that you're kept in the loop. But I got to be honest, too, especially when it comes to finances, because that's my fucking job. The decision is going to be made before we sit down. And if you have some really good points, it will sway my decision. But I've already done the research. At that point, it's my duty to make sure that we have everything that we need in the house as a man. And you trust me to lead and you trust me with the finances. This is how it's going to play out. I haven't let us wrong yet. But I'm not going to make a $50,000, $100,000 business decision or more until we've sat down and talked about it.
Right.
But if you think that I'm going to sit down and talk to you first and try to get all my advice from you and not do my diligence, like...
Do you know how frustrating it would be for you to hear me say, I don't know. I don't know.
Repeatedly.
Not good at math. How much money do we have? What's on open credit? I don't have the answers to these. Yeah.
Mom, I want to buy a house. I heard about this new loan thing. Is it something that you've heard of before? Can you give me a quick rundown on it? Cool. You've experienced this. What do I need to know? Babe, I heard about this new home loan. You ever heard anything about it? Nope. Don't know anything about it. Cool. I'm going to call my mom. Should have just called her in the first place because she fucking knows because she's gone through this. Elders are important. People with wisdom and knowledge who have done these fucking things. Babe, I'm thinking about cutting my beard off. How am I going to look without my beard on? That's a conversation we're going to have.
Yeah.
I'm not calling my mom about that.
Right.
Because you look at my face every day. This is common sense shit.
Right.
Delegate responsibilities to those who are more capable than you are because that's how you fucking succeed.
It is.
Mentorships exist for a reason. People who have life experience, have done shit, have younger people who are trying to do shit come into them going, hey, oh, wise one, I'll be your Padawan. Teach me the ways of the Force. Like,
Any more thoughts before I continue?
I wanted to have the doors changed and the windows changed out on the house. You know that one of the French doors lock. It doesn't
It's broken.
disengage the way it's supposed to, and I can't open that door. You know that. But did you know for the last 3 weeks that I have been working on trying to get that door replaced and like have been looking into companies and window companies and doing all that? Do you know anything about that?
That you've been looking to replace the doors?
Yeah.
Yes.
You did know that I was looking to replace the doors.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know that? Did I tell you that? Did we have that discussion?
I remember you looking at the front door, or there was a conversation about the front door. I don't know if you told me you were looking at replacing it. I just assumed because you were
Yeah. Okay. Well,
focused on it.
I do know that there was one day like 5 months ago where I was laying on the floor with 2 screwdrivers trying to fucking finagle that door.
Yes. It's because I wanted to open it. It was winter. It was nice outside.
Right.
I wanted to breeze in the house.
So that thought process has been there since that day.
Yeah.
But over the last 3 weeks, I have been actively looking at doors. I've reached out to a couple of companies trying to figure out when I can get somebody to come out here and get a quote. 2 days ago, somebody showed up at the house. That was like a door-to-door salesman that sells windows and doors. And I actually had somebody come out and look. And I got a whole bunch of information. And while the guy was out there, he's like, is your wife home? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, does she need to be out here for the decision-making process? And I said, no. And he's like, you don't want her to be a part of this? And I was like, no. And he's like, why? And I was like, because at the end of the day, the decision is mine. And when I have all the information of how much this is going to cost, what the windows are going to look like, what the hurricane resistance shit is, and you give me all of that information, I can talk to her and we can have a discussion about it and we can go. There's no reason for you to try to sell to both of us, because at the end of the day, if I'm going to replace all this, it's going to be my decision and I handle the finances. And he's like, oh, that's cool. I respect that, blah, 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 right? I got the quote on the windows and doors.
Yeah.
Just now. Anyways, if I had that discussion about all of that with you beforehand and had no intention of actually doing anything other than getting fact finding, that would be a whole lot of discussion that was for naught.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us $67,000 to replace everything. Just so you know. 67000.
67 with a K behind it.
The doors alone are $20,000. But lifetime warranty.
Is he replacing that
all
window?
of it. Every window here except for those big 3-bay windows on the back porch.
What about like that one in our bathroom?
All of them. He said all of them. You mean the one in front of the bathtub?
The tile looking one.
I don't think he can replace that.
Okay.
I will ask him.
I admit that I'm a bigger spender than I should be. However, I have regained that and I have reined that in much better lately with wedding planning. He is the opposite of me, frugal, and doesn't like to spend money on even small things or needed upgrades. So what's the needed upgrade? Is your car falling apart? Or do you need like a new KitchenAid mixer because there's pink ones now?
Right. Right, because that matters.
Right.
Disposable culture.
That was a very extreme example
No,
of an
but
upgrade, right?
that's very relevant.
I do feel like that is very important information.
We need a new knife set. I need a new purse.
Right.
We need a new KitchenAid mixer. We need new spoons because this one's got a nick on it. I want the entire silverware replaced.
Yeah.
My car needs an oil change. I need a new CV joint. Like,
Has your phone been broken for 3 years?
right, there's a difference.
Yeah.
I need new headphones because the newest ones just got released. I need a new camera body because the newest camera body just got announced. Oh my God, there's a new lens. I need a new lens. There's a difference between needing and wanting something.
Right. And then small things, are we talking like a $200 clothing shop, or are we talking about like a $3 Hershey's bar?
Right. I cannot wait to fucking replace these chairs, dude. I hate these things so much.
Having a saving mindset is a good quality to have, but, so everything she just said doesn't matter. I don't think he should have full control of the finances, since that is how he approaches things.
So split your finances. Go back. Go back to paying everything 50-50 then. Does he make more money than you? Is what you're contributing financially to the home even substantial enough for you to really matter in those decisions? Can you do 50-50?
Right. This isn't a stay-at-home mom, is it?
I don't think so. But that's a valid question.
It is a very valid question, yeah.
If he's doing, blue worker trade jobs and he's fucking making $80,000 a year and you're making 20, you can't afford to pay for half of everything. He's paying for pretty much everything and your 20 grand is helping.
Right.
And that could go the opposite way. If you're a woman
wow.
making $80,000 a year and your man's making 15 grand working at McDonald's, he doesn't really need to have a say in your finances.
Well, I'm going to read the next sentence.
All right.
He's never outright said he will have full control, but he is definitely the bigger breadwinner in our situation. So it seems like he thinks he has more of a say in what we will do.
Yeah, he makes more money than you. So yeah. And if you don't like that, split your finances back up.
Right.
If I was making $800,000 a year and you were making $100,000 a year, you're not going to have say in shit that's going on financially.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
If I was making $800,000 a year and you were making $100,000 a year,
Okay, I heard that differently.
you wouldn't have a say in anything that's going on financially.
Oh yeah, no, I would just give you my paycheck. Here you go.
There would be no reason for it. We're
Right.
gonna buy a fucking house where we're gonna have a mortgage that's $8,000 a month, and like new cars and all the shit that we're buying and like the life that we're affording because I make 800 times more than you do.
I wouldn't be working. My 100K is nothing.
Would be nothing, right?
What is that? My play money? No,
That matters.
it does matter. It makes me very uncomfortable knowing that he is the breadwinner and she's saying that he can't have, I want to have some control in the finances.
Right. Discussions should be had.
Yes.
I agree with that. But final say should be his if he's the one that's affording the life that you guys have.
I agree, yeah. It's a very weird image in my brain to hear a conversation of, So when your check deposits, you need to send me half of your paycheck so we have equal spending money.
Right.
And then we can both have control over what we're doing.
No.
That makes me very uncomfortable.
Here's a scenario. If I made, we'll bring it way down to like normal people. If I made $80,000 a year and you made $20,000 a year, and we had a $3,000 a month mortgage, $2,000 a month in car payments, $1,500 a month in daycare, and all the bills, and we split all of that down the middle to pay for everything, the 20 grand that you make split over 12 months would not be enough to pay for half of everything.
You know, you could use, when we first got together, I was working.
Mm-hmm.
So in a day where I was making $300, you made $2,000.
Right.
My $300 is absolutely nothing in that.
Right. It's gas money. It's grocery money. Like it's fuck around money.
You would literally tell me to keep that and use it as my spending money.
Right. There was
And
no
your
reason for me to
2K
take it.
would pay for my car payment or whatever. So if that's the dynamic, yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
Could you imagine? Oh man. Yep. That may make me a controlling guy, and that may make me look like the villain to a lot of people, but that's the way that would be.
I would say it's more controlling to say, I understand that you're providing majority of the income for our lives. I would like you to send me some of the money that you're making so I feel as if I'm in more control here a little bit too. How is that not controlling?
I mean, it very much is, but why would there be? I don't understand. Why would that be a thing? Did she say that? Did I miss that?
She's saying, I don't think he should have full control of the finances since that's how he approaches things.
Okay.
Because he's very frugal. He doesn't spend money on small things and he doesn't do necessary upgrades.
Right.
So what I'm hearing from that is because he is the breadwinner, she has her own job. In this scenario, they have their separate bank accounts where they get their deposits done. If she doesn't want him fully in control of finances, are you looking to have like a joint bank account that you're both trying to spend out of? Or are you wanting him to legit take some of the money that he is earning from his paychecks to send over to you to equalize the amount of money you're both spending? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it just make more sense to have a joint account at that point and just spend the way that you need to spend? But that also comes down to the respect of a conversation. Babe, I want $500 for new clothes. Is the money available? Yeah, here you go. No, we need to wait another month. Like, I want to make sure that we've got at least 20 grand saved up. Like, conversations need to be happening in those scenarios. But if he's the breadwinner in the relationship, I honestly think that if in a relationship, man or woman, somebody is making significantly more money than the other person, you can't split things 50-50.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Because financially,
one of you is getting a level up.
Right. So in that scenario, how does that work? Because I know how much my mortgage is.
Right.
And I know that if you went back to work and we split everything 50-50, you're going to be fucking broke all the time.
Yeah.
And my bank account is going to be fucking rolling. Because you're a roommate.
Oh, I wouldn't even be broke. I'd be in the negative.
Right.
Yeah.
But you would be a roommate. You'd be paying bills and you'd be treated like a roommate instead of a wife.
Yeah.
We put our money together. It's ours. You trust me to lead the household with our finances because I've shown you that I'm capable of doing so. And I make more money than you do. Even if the podcast split 50-50, I still have a whole nother business that brings in a lot of fucking money. Like,
yeah,
I'm the breadwinner. I still don't make major purchases without talking to you about it, ever. And if you want something other than a lavender plant for the kitchen counter, you get it.
Yeah, let's say you very rarely tell me no.
If he's been handling the finances this entire time and he's been good with money.
So she says.
Oh. If only I read the email a little bit more. Get it together, Chris, you fucking slack ass. Me, not you.
I'm so glad you clarified. But everybody knows me as Peaches, so thank you. So he's never outright said he would have full control, but he's the breadwinner. So it seems like he thinks he has more of a say in what we will do. Again, he has never said that outright, but he has said no to a few things I've wanted to do or buy recently, so it's starting to rub me the wrong way.
Because you can't afford it on your own? Because if you split the money 50-50 or the bills 50-50 and took your money away from his,
right?
Could you afford it? Because if you could, that's the answer. Separate your monies.
Yeah.
And when you're broke because you don't know how to save and you spend all the time, and he's sitting over here pretty and you need some wisdom teeth pulled, or you got a medical bill that's 10 fucking grand. Well, it was just the first emergency I could think of because teeth pain sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And he's got all this shit and you're like, babe, I need this. And he's like, what'd you do with your money? And you're like, well, I bought a new Louis bag. Well, I hope that fucking makes your teeth feel better. Hold it to the side of your face.
Stick some ice in it.
Yeah, stick some ice in it and use it as a really high-end ice pack.
I hope you got a small wallet or something.
Yeah.
Super close contact.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I saved my money. What did you do with yours? Oh, you didn't make enough? But you wanted to dictate how we spent it, and now you're broke.
Right.
That shit matters.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to come to me and you were like, babe, I want a new Jag.
Jag? Oh, like a car? The Jaguar?
Right. I'd be like, okay, give me a couple months. Like, we can absolutely make that happen, but I have to figure out how to make the money work to do that.
Right.
But if you were like, I want a Jag, and I was like, no. And you were like, but, and gave me all these reasons why you needed one, and I knew it was not financially responsible for us to have a Jag,
yeah,
I would be like, no. And if you got mad at me because I wasn't willing to buy you a car because I don't want to fucking end up homeless, see how that works?
What a stupid thing to be mad about. Okay. None of this is to the point I would break things off, not even close. But I can see it getting worse as we age and have children, that we will start to become even more wary of these things. I wouldn't call him cheap by any stretch, but we are still young.
He sounds like he's trying to set himself up for the future.
It really does sound like he's trying to set himself up for success and make sure that he has like a good cushion.
She actually said that he started saving for their future because he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her.
Yeah.
She said that in the beginning of the email.
She did say that.
So she knows why he's saving. Mm-hmm. He's being a good steward of his money.
Yeah. This sentence bothers me. I wouldn't call him cheap by any stretch, but we are still young and will only be newlyweds for so long, and then we will have kids. That sounds like an excuse to be irresponsible.
It does. Wouldn't you rather have a savings before you have a child? Have a house? Own the house? Like, own your cars outright, maybe?
What does it mean to we're still young? Like, what does that mean? Like, are you trying to go out and stay out until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and get blasted? Are you trying to do bonfires on the beach at night? What does that mean?
Maybe she wants to enjoy the money.
Okay.
Go on vacation, do all that shit.
Travel, maybe?
It's fine, but you plan for that.
Right, that's not a on the whim.
I want to know what the price difference is.
Okay.
The annual income between the two of them. I want to know what the difference of that is. That matters to me. In this scenario, that question fucking matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so she goes on to say, I don't want to look back and regret not doing more during the time we have just the two of us.
There you go. So she wants to travel and do shit with while they're young.
I don't want to regret not talking to him about being too frugal. I admire his drive to give ourselves and our children a good future, but I don't want our early marriage to suffer because he's so focused on that. There was a local concert I wanted to go to a couple of weeks ago, and the tickets really weren't that expensive, but he said no because we need to save. Things like that are what I'm talking about. Seeing something new that I want every once in a while for the apartment, the occasional small concert or event. Getting up in the morning and deciding we want to go do something a little more impulsive that day. Going on a trip that we wouldn't be able to take with the kids in the future.
Okay, so wait a minute. So how much were the tickets? Because you said they weren't really a lot. I remember going to shows that were like $8.
Yeah.
And I've been to shows that are $400 a ticket. So what are you saying? Are they not that much because they were $150 a ticket?
Mm-hmm.
Because $300 for two people to go to a show could be your entire paycheck.
It could be. And while you're there, you're going to probably be drinking,
right,
snacking.
Merchandise because you want to buy a souvenir.
T-shirt, yeah.
Right. So that $300 event becomes a $500 thing. Mm-hmm. And that could have been his paycheck.
Yeah.
Right? You also, unless you know where the money sits, it may not have been in the cards. Did you hit him with it last minute or did you go a month in advance? Hey, I'd like to go see Jelly Roll at the amphitheater in September, knowing that it's fucking June.
Yeah.
Because I got time to plan for that. I can make that happen. Mm-hmm. But if you're like, Hank Williams Jr. just played in Tennessee on Friday night.
Yeah.
Last Friday. And I was like, if I'd have known about this, before the day before the fucking show, we'd have been going to Tennessee to see Hank. Like that would have been a thing for me. Mm-hmm. but I didn't know about it until the day before. I don't have enough time to get good tickets. I can't plan. I can't travel. Like, we had St. Augustine that weekend. There was a whole lot of things that prevented that. And if that was my want and you were the breadwinner and you were like, no, because of everything that I just listed and I got salty about it.
That's a you problem.
Right. But that also comes down to communication, because had you been the breadwinner and I'd been like, babe, I want to go see Hank tomorrow night in Tennessee.
What was that?
Your phone.
Then what's under me? Oh, my pants.
And you were the breadwinner and I was like, I want to go see Hank tomorrow night in Tennessee. And you were like, we can't. And I got mad about it. And that was the end of the conversation. Of course I'm going to be mad about it. You just flat out told me no with no reasoning behind it.
Right.
But if you were to be like, well, we have St. Augustine this weekend. It's going to cost $500 or $600 to go do the show. We have car payments that are due when we get back. There's a $4,000 a month rent payment that's got to go out for the business, plus, our mortgage and all this shit that's coming up, because, it's now past the 15th of the month. The Roth IRA payment's got to come out. Our mutual fund's got to come out. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago, we could have made that happen. But because I didn't know for it, I bought a new camera body, or I got you a greenhouse, or whatever it was that we did. Like, these conversations matter.
They really do. I am somebody who is very much when I come to you about something, like, for example, I want to get more of those like long sleeve dresses that I like. I'm telling you just to plant the seed of it. Like, I know right now we don't have $250 to do this. Just planting the seed. This is something I would like in the future. So when you do have the money for it, you're gonna be like, hey babe, remember when you said this 2 months ago? Here you go.
Right. And that's actually happened.
Yeah.
Not for $250, but it has happened. Those conversations go a long way too, because you allow the person that's handling the finances to put away when money's tight.
It's also an opportunity for them it's a request for love, but that's not a request for love. It's and like an opportunity to satisfy a need or a want.
Right. You're giving them the opportunity to make you happy.
Right. I can understand the want to experience life before settling down and having kids, and
me too.
Dedicating yourself to raising a being. Do you think it's a possibility he could be anxious of dropping the ball and not being a good man for her?
Probably. Fear of failure is very real for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Here's a thought. They've obviously not had proper communication about the finances.
Right.
Which is something they should have had before they moved in together. I wonder if they've had the discussion about kids. I wonder if he wants kids or she wants kids, or one does and one doesn't, or if one wants only one kid and one wants three. Like, if they haven't had conversations about finances, I wonder where those conversations also haven't gone.
It's a very good question. And clearly there's no boundaries set already.
Right. They're trying to set them now after the fact.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. There's a lot of conversations that need to be had.
You know that broke problems happen to broke people.
Oh, yeah. When you don't have a savings and your car breaks down, you have to spend $300 on that, and then rent's due, and then you have to buy groceries.
Yeah. Yep. If you don't have a savings and you get a flat tire, right? And it's not a pluggable tire. You have to actually replace the tire. And let's say that's $240, and you had $100 budgeted for groceries for the week. You're now $140 in debt to somebody because you had to borrow the money to get your tire fixed. You can't go to work. That's a broke problem. If you had 20 grand in the bank and your tire went bad, you just go get a new fucking tire and go about your life. It's not a big deal. Broke problems happen to broke people.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't make significant income and he does, and she wants to buy these things and go to shows and do those things, I wonder how capable she would be of doing those without his income.
That's a good question.
And what her life would look like if that was the case.
Right. Would it be the same or would it be a downgrade?
Right. Because if she's a downgrade, she's spending his money to do shit that she wants to do, or getting mad at him when he says no because we don't have the finances to do it, because he's handling the money that's coming into the house to the best of his ability. Right. I'm really hung up on that.
Yeah. When it comes to our finances, the only things that come out of my bank account is the Netflix.
Because I refuse to pay for Netflix.
Right. And I had that when I was living on my own. I never canceled it. I'm still paying for it.
Right.
I pay for Disney Plus.
Why?
Bluey.
That one in the living room is mine, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, we pay for Disney Plus. I pay for that through the shop account. That's a tax write-off.
Yeah, none of the household bills come out of my bank account. My bank account is purely my Starbucks, Netflix, whatever. Yeah, I'm still really hung up on she doesn't want him to be the only person who handles the finances. There's too many mix-ups, too many people trying to spend X amount, and I have this dedicated to that, and this is dedicated to that, and there's forgotten communication.
There has to be a final word, no matter what.
Oh, yeah, and everything in life. That's why there's a CEO.
Right. So in terms of finances, if he's like, babe, we don't have the money for that, and she goes and does it and then can't pay the rent because she went and did something, who's going to be at fault there? Because nobody has a final say. And then when you're living on the streets because you got kicked out of the house because you weren't able to pay the fucking rent or mortgage, who's going to get blamed for that? Well, I told you we didn't have the money. Well, I told you I wanted to go. Like,
right.
I don't know. I think there needs to be conversations, and there needs to be a basic level of respect and understanding of what is and what is not acceptable. And if you want to be able to do those kind of things, like go to concerts, then you need to have a savings account that's separate from all of the other savings accounts. And then you only put $40 in a week in there or something.
Right.
So that in 2 or 3 months, there's a couple $100 in there, then you can actually go and do those things and not affect the household income.
I would even say like once a month after all the bills are paid and you have your leftover spending money and you have something that you're looking forward to coming up, put half of that money in there.
Yeah.
Stop going to Starbucks every single day. This is a lot. A lot for me to process, a lot going on in my brain.
The only way for that to be a thing where there's not somebody in charge of the income as a whole is if you both handle your income separately, and at the end of the month you pay the bills that are due. Hey, I need $1,500 from you for rent.
Like
I've got my
transfer.
money. Do you got yours? Cool. Yeah. Hey, electric bill's $300. You got your $150? That's the only way to make that work.
That's exhausting.
It is exhausting. You're a roommate.
Yeah.
And that's necessary for some people. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Right.
Not everybody's in a position to provide. Some people are together in relationships that have no choice but to live that way.
Right.
But if you're doing that, then you need to understand the money's not fucking there. We're not capable of doing all of this shit.
Right. If that understanding's there, there's no issue.
Right.
I want to know if when this concert came around, say the night came to $600 with everything. Does he have 10 grand sitting in a savings account and everything's paid for already? And he said no.
Right.
And he's like, we have to save. Then I'd be like, okay, babe, you've said no to literally everything I've wanted to do with you. I want to spend time with you. I want to go and have fun. It sounds like her love language is quality time and doing things together.
You can do quality time for free.
I'm about to say, it also sounds like everything you want to do with your quality time involves money.
Yep.
We go to beaches and take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And all that costs is gas money.
Right. Go to gardens.
Yeah.
Go walk around the park. There's a whole lot of things that you can do for free. Go hiking. You can literally just sit in your backyard next to a fire. There's a whole lot of free shit you can do.
Yeah.
Quality time doesn't mean go do shit. It sounds to me like she wanted to go to a concert and he said no. He either didn't want to go or didn't want to spend the money or couldn't spend the money. That matters too.
There's a lot of details missing.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
I got to be honest though. If you wanted to go to a concert and you were like, hey, let's go to a concert. And I was like even if it was something that like I wanted to go to, which when it comes to concerts, I don't. If it was a musical, I'm sure that we could talk about that and make that work. But if you were like, I want to go to a concert, and I'm like, I don't want to go to a concert. And you're like, well, I really want to go. And maybe that's not a money thing. Maybe I really just don't want to go to the concert.
Right. You don't like the band. It's
Right.
going to be overcrowded.
And instead of just being like, hey, I don't want to do that, we don't really have the money for that. Like, do you really want to spend $200 on something that you really don't want to do? Because it's a lot harder to spend money on something you don't like. Paying your bill sucks.
Yes.
Buying that new computer part is not so sucky because you're getting something you enjoy out of it.
Yeah. So she said, I don't want to look back and feel sad we didn't do it while we had the chance. But I'm lost as to how to talk to him about this. You know, that's another important thing to talk about. Does he even want to go out and experience things? Mm-hmm. If it is your goal to go out and experience life and travel and have these moments and that's not his, pushing him to spend his money on your dreams is never going to work out.
Yep. It's also going to be very difficult to make him do that shit long term.
Right.
It's one thing to do every once in a while to make your partner happy, but if you're constantly wanting to do shit that makes your person uncomfortable or anxious or stressed out, they're not going to want to do that shit. Perfect example. I hate the heat in Florida.
Yeah.
And if every day you were like, come on, babe, let's go to the beach. No,
that's never happening.
We can go rent a room that's on the beach.
And you can watch me.
And I'll watch you sit on the porch from inside the air conditioning.
Yeah. We can get walkie-talkies and I'll go sit next to the water and you can hear the ocean from the walkie-talkie.
These conversations are important. Mm-hmm. You have them before you get married.
Yeah.
Like you just said, if her dream is to travel and do all that shit and his is not, and his dream is to be on a farm somewhere away from fucking everyone because that's where he's his happiest, they're not going to mesh.
No.
Yep.
One of them would literally be giving up their life dream.
Right. And putting themselves in miserable situations.
Yeah. I'm lost as how to talk to him about this. His intentions are so good, but I don't know how to handle it. Like I said, I don't handle conflict well. I want to say it in a gentle way that doesn't hurt him, but also in a way that clearly gets my point and feelings across.
Why does this have to be conflict?
Also, is there any general advice you would give to me as I go into this marriage? This will be a complete 180 for me as I have always lived at home with my parents. I will be moving a city over from them, so it will be an adjustment. I know the first year can be rough with figuring things out. Is there any advice you can give that will help as we move in together and start new?
Wait.
Are you going to comment on the first year can be rough?
So they're not even living together yet.
I don't think they're living together yet.
So how in the fuck is she trying to spend his money?
This will be a complete 180 for me as I have always lived at home with my parents. I will be moving a city over from them, so it will be an adjustment.
So she's never had any real responsibility, never probably had her own rent payment, never, I'm sure she probably doesn't pay her own car payment. I'm sure mom and dad probably pay for that too. She has had her life financed and is now moving in with another guy and wants to spend his money the way that she spent parents' money, and he's obviously not okay with it. Where he's had to handle his own finance and his own life, because he's the breadwinner, because he's the one that's working and is currently living on his own and doing his own thing, that changes the entire narrative of the conversation.
It makes me even more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to control his finances when you don't even live together?
Yep.
They're not even living together, and she's trying to have more presence in his life than his mom. It's kind of a red flag to me.
This is the mom email? No, this isn't the mom
Is this
email.
not
That
the
was the
mom
last
email?
one, right?
No, this is the mom email.
No.
Yes, there are a couple of things that concern me. One of them being is that he is very close with his mother. There's also been times when I've been in the car with him and one of them calls the other and he has her on speaker and they're discussing something that I didn't even know was a thing because he didn't come to me about it.
Because you're a child still. You live at home with your parents. You have zero life experience. Zero. Why the fuck would he call you and ask you anything?
I'm processing. This is a lot.
That's like calling a 13-year-old and going, hey, I got $150,000 to invest. Where do you want me to put it? Pokemon? You got it, kiddo. This is a great investment. No, I'm not doing that. Oh.
So they've been together for 2 years. They are not living together. Oh, man. Already has issues with the way that he is spending his money living alone. Wants to have more control of the finances, even though he has more of the income.
In his own place.
And his own place. Has an issue with his relationship with his mom. Did I already say that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hung up on that. That really bothers me. If they have a good, healthy relationship and he's calling her about things like you said, I don't know, I'm looking into moving. I want to buy a new house. Have you heard of this area? Is this area safe?
Right.
Do you know anybody who lives over here? I don't know. That's just, there's so much in the email, yet there's so little detail.
Right. I realized that I just got kind of aggressive.
You did get a little aggressive.
And I have to pull that way back. This is asinine to me. These are not the questions and the statements that you should be making when you send an email in when you are living the way that you're living.
Right.
This email should have started with, I'm getting married soon. We currently do not live together. I live at home with my parents. He has his own place. I'm working doing this. He's working doing that. He's the breadwinner. Here are my problems.
Yeah.
And then listed a whole lot of detail with those problems so that we could have addressed them instead of making us think that you live together because you're getting married and that you're combining your income and you're upset that he's the breadwinner, not that you live at home with your parents and he's the breadwinner and you're wanting to spend his money, because now that's how I view this entire email.
I agree. It seems like a very immature mindset.
Entitled?
Very entitled, yes. This is a total assumption I'm guessing on my end. I also get undertones of almost jealousy.
Towards the mom?
Towards him going to anybody. I'm your woman. You're supposed to come to me about everything first. You have conversations with your best friend, Sean, that I have no idea what you guys converse about because that's your man conversation. You guys talk about things that's none of my business.
We talk about the dumbest shit. Anyways.
I don't know. I encourage you having other relationships and other outlets and people you can go to, like your mom.
It's healthy.
You have very spiritual conversations with your mom that I would never be able to comprehend.
Yeah.
I am absolutely useless in that aspect. Does the jealousy thing make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would have had a much better time with this email had it been laid out that way that I explained a second ago. And it was, we need to have discussions about finances. He's the breadwinner. I would like to be part of the decision-making process with things. How do I address that? Do you have advice for two people that haven't moved in together yet, that are going to be moving in together, to have that conversation? What do I need to know about things getting married from your perspective? Those are conversations that would have been a very healthy email that would have gotten a very different response than everything that was just laid out in this email. And I got to be honest, that had all of the things that have been laid out in this email would have been laid out the way that I just described it, we could have sent her videos that we've already made that's discussed all of those things.
Right, like the check-ins.
Right. And the finances and final decision making and boundary setting, because we've covered all of those. Monster-in-laws, we've covered those. We've got a lot of content that covers a lot of portions of this, but she got kind of specific without details. I am really hung up on the fact that they don't live together and she's trying to dictate the way the money's spent.
Yeah.
If you live at home and want to go to a concert, why can't you afford to go to a concert? You live with your parents. I really miss when we got good emails.
Me too.
I miss when people were very clear about what was going on in their life. These are the scenarios that we've got going on. This is what I said. This is the way he reacted. This is the current issue. I'm having a hard time talking to my boss. Detail.
This is what I said verbatim. Right. This is what I texted them.
Right.
So I don't think it said anywhere in here that they're actually engaged. And she ends this with, is there any general advice you would give to me as I go into this marriage? Do you have a ring on your finger right now? Did he go through the action of proposing to you and you said yes and you guys are... Did she say she's planning a wedding?
I didn't hear anything about planning a wedding. But I obviously missed a whole lot because I thought they were living together and fucking...
I also thought they were living together.
Putting their money together.
Okay, so she said that I have regained that. She's a spender with wedding planning. So there is a wedding being planned. Yeah, I'm also... Okay, so she has a fiance. They're engaged. There's a wedding that's going to be happening. The reason I was trying to figure that out and figure out if they were just boyfriend and girlfriend and he said he wanted to get married, but there was never actually a proposal, is if you're trying to dictate his money and say you need to buy us tickets to go to a concert or you need to chip in on this and do that, and you're still in the girlfriend, dating phase, that's massive overstepping.
I think it's overstepping being engaged and not living together and trying to dictate the finances.
I agree with that. It's still disrespectful.
It's not their finances. It's his and hers because she lives at home with her parents.
Yeah.
Unless she's giving him the paycheck that she's making from whatever job she has, and he's taking care of the rent to mom and dad and paying car payment, cell phone, and living that life, even though they don't live together, she then has a say because she's giving up her paycheck and they can discuss the way that they need to make that work. But even still, that scenario doesn't work with everything that we were talking earlier. But at least in that scenario where they're not living together and she's giving up her paycheck, that would be a very different conversation.
Right.
But they're not doing any of that. We have no idea if she's even combining income or giving him money. You have no say whatsoever to his finances. I don't like that. I don't like anything about that email. I couldn't imagine us being engaged and living separately.
Yeah, no.
My brain doesn't compute being engaged to somebody that you've never lived with.
Could you imagine?
And they've only been together 2 years.
Right, so they're engaged.
In the obsession phase.
Never
engaged,
lived together.
Never lived together.
Oh, wow.
Dictating of the finances. Red flags because he has issues. She has issues with him talking to his mom.
Right, having close relationships.
Zero life experience in anything.
Mm-hmm. That underlining jealousy of speaking to someone about something that she's unaware of.
Communication issues.
Right. Do you know how many times you hit me with something and I'm like, what? And you're like, oh, I didn't tell you that? And I was like, no. And you're like, oh, yeah, a week ago. and then you fill me in. I'm like, oh, okay, dope.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
It does.
You know what's really weird though is there are times where I'll tell you something and you'll be like, babe, you've told me that like 5 times.
Right. Yeah, that does happen a lot too.
Which is why there's sometimes I'm like, I know I told her. And there's
Yeah.
times like I may not have told her.
Just in case.
Yeah, it happens. I know that like I'm super forgetful and I know that it's fucking annoying. And I know that on the other side of that, where I think I've filled you in on something that is also annoying. I would like to think that my ability to function as an adult and do the things that I'm doing makes up for that annoyance.
I mean, I think you're doing fantastic.
Okay, great. Good job. Go team.
Across the board. Also, you had Jeffrey Graham. If you're not following him on TikTok, you should. It's Jeffrey Graham Tattoos. Fantastic artist. He did my throat tattoo, a bunch of my other tattoos on my arms, my stomach. You asked him to do that monkey, the performance monkey. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, and I saw he was already working. I was like, what is he working on? You were like, oh yeah, I asked him to do this like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, dope. And you were like showing me everything. In that moment, I feel like she would get a little spicy about that.
Yeah, well, why didn't you tell me first?
Like you had a whole conversation with somebody else about how depressed you are and you didn't fill me in and I didn't know you were going through this. That's a very underlining jealousy, controlling, even if that's not her intention. Like she might be feeling insecure or anxious or worried that she's not enough and he's going to seek attention from another woman or look elsewhere for romantic whatever. That is very underlining, controlling, manipulative behavior that makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
You wouldn't get frustrated with your mom if she told something to your sister and then brought it up to you and was like, oh, never mind, I was telling your sister about that, so here's this thing. You wouldn't be like, what the fuck, Mom? Would you not care about me? You don't want to fill me in on things?
She might.
What do you mean?
She might. If that's her personality, she very well might be like that.
Well, I think a lot of people who are this way towards their partner aren't that way with their family members because there's that understanding of, you're right, you have 3 kids. We were a lot growing up. You get us mixed up. You call your dog by your husband's name. With your partner, though, there's that sense of ownership that you owe it to me to come to me first before you go to anybody else or whatever.
There are people out there that have that personality type that treats everyone like that.
That's absolutely insane to me.
Main character syndrome. It's main character syndrome. I am the most important person in this story. Goddammit. The universe surrounds me. Center. Right here. And as I move, the center of the universe moves with me.
Any final thoughts on this email?
I really wish that email would have been structured differently because I think that she would have gotten a much different response had she came differently with the writing. That email got me all kinds of in my head and frustrated and flustered, and I really didn't want to do that anymore. I really do want the good quality emails where we can be super helpful and not be aggressive. And I know that a lot of my conversation is passionate and I can seem kind of hostile at times, but that's normally not my intent.
Right.
But situations, because I'm not involved in a situation, when I see those situations as fucked up, I'm going to say it's fucked up. And that situation's fucked up.
I think that also stems from the fact that you grew up really watching women financially manipulate men.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, I did.
Do you want to do another email?
Yeah, let's do one more.
So this one is titled Triggered.
Can we end this with a thank you? No, I would like to do this and then a thank you email.
Okay.
Okay. This is in here because I sent it to Zach and was like, I want that email for the next podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this hits me different than when I read it.
Okay. So I know you're not exuding happiness right now. And that smile was not linked to joy, but still seeing you smile made me happy. That's it.
That's an uncomfortable, nervous, internal laughter for me.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are times when I'm reading emails and it's absolutely awful things. I could be listening to a podcast about like serial killers and I'll do like a nervous chuckle just because it makes me so uncomfortable and I don't know what to do with myself.
Okay.
Like a ludicrous, that's absolutely ridiculous. How am I supposed to process this?
Yeah.
This really hit you wrong the first time.
It did.
Okay.
It really did.
All right. So this is called Triggered.
I really hope that this doesn't hit me like it did the first time.
Okay. Hi, Chris and Peaches. You always say in the podcast, if you get triggered, let us know. So here I am emailing you two, and I'm going to tell you why.
This may not be the same email.
No.
This may not be the same email. Feel a little bit better now.
Okay, good.
It might be, but anyway.
I can see you relaxing a little bit. Yep. You're not as postured. This goes to Chris. Chris, when you said you cannot make anyone feel any way, they choose to feel that way. This triggered me because my ex would purposely say it, do nasty things to trigger me to feel a certain way, then would proceed to tell me he cannot make me feel any way that I choose to feel this way.
This is the email.
Which just doesn't make sense to me.
Can you start over again so that I can pause you as you go? Because I got a whole lot to say here.
Okay. This goes to Chris. Chris, when you said you cannot make anyone feel any way, they choose to feel that way. This triggered me.
Pause. It triggered you because it's true. No one can make you feel anything.
Correct.
Your response to a situation is a fucking choice.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how bad it is.
Right.
How you handle that situation and how you choose to respond is a choice.
Mm-hmm. At any point, if you, for example, if you yell at me, it triggers me, it makes me shut down. I would appreciate if you don't do that.
Right.
I hear you. I'm not going to do that anymore. And then continues to do it. I have stated this is a problem for me. The next time you do this, our relationship will end. I will pack my things and I will leave. That is an option.
Right.
If you are not strong enough to say that or say that and then hold up to it, that falls on you. This is very much that external psychology. There are other factors that have a greater influence in my life than I do.
Mm-hmm. This entire email is victim mentality. We don't do that here.
No.
So if you guys are new to the channel on episode 29 of the podcast, if this is the first one you're watching, we don't do that. We take accountability and extreme ownership. That is a huge premise of our podcast.
Right.
So if somebody says some shit that you don't like or says some triggering things or gets in your face and grabs you, all things are horrible. How you choose to respond to those situations is a you thing. Somebody says some really hateful shit to me, I make the choice whether or not I'm going to let that bother me today or if I'm going to let it go. It's my choice.
Yeah.
You could call me a fat, fucked up tooth old redneck. And one day that's going to really piss me off. And one day I'm going to be like, whatever, bro. Because that's the way I choose to perceive the situation.
Yeah.
That's a me problem.
Yeah. She goes on to say, my ex would purposely say or do nasty things to trigger me to feel a certain way, then would proceed to tell me he cannot make me feel any way that I choose to feel this way.
Right.
So anything outside of your body is information that you take in.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, let's continue with the yelling. He knows yelling triggers you. He yells at you, and you continue to allow him to yell at you. You don't leave. You don't lay down the law and say, this is my boundary. I am not going to accept you yelling at me. If you continue doing this, our relationship will not proceed. I get very professional sometimes. Our relationship will not proceed. This will be the conclusion of our time together.
If you knew that someone was manipulating you, would you choose to allow them to continue the manipulative behavior or choose to react the same way to said manipulative behavior?
This is going to sound very shitty to people who are very in their feelings. This is the truth, though. When you decide to stay with somebody who is aware that they are manipulating you, and you are aware that they know that they are purposely manipulating you, and you continue to allow that to happen, it is a very weak mindset. There's no self-worth there. There's no self-esteem. There is no, I deserve better than this. I don't know.
So the reason I ask that is because she knows that he is manipulating her triggers in the moment by doing what he's doing, and she is still making a choice to respond the way that she's choosing to respond. Therefore, she is making the decision to allow him to manipulate her.
Right.
To gain a response from her based off the things that he's doing, because she is not emotionally secure or mature enough in herself to respond instead of react to the situation. You said, I'm a fat piece of shit and hurt my feelings. That's the first time that happens. You have that conversation. Second time, you'd be like, you already said this. You know how it makes me feel. Now you're doing it just to get under my skin. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Right.
Because I know that you're trying to manipulate me. We're not doing that. If somebody was trying to scam you out of $1,000 and you caught onto it the first time and they tried it again, we'd be like, nope, you're right. Here's that $1,000. No, I know what you're doing. because I'm intelligent enough to see what's happening. I'm not going to let it happen again. This is a choice.
Right.
Nobody can make you feel anything. So the fact that he's triggering you intentionally and then telling you that nobody can make you feel anything, that you're doing that to yourself, he's fucking telling you the truth while manipulating you, while you're allowing it to happen.
Yeah, I hear a lot of nasty things every day. And as somebody who was very severely bullied growing up because I was overweight, and I've heard a lot of really nasty things from men because I was overweight. There are people who say things on YouTube and on TikTok that kind of, I'm like, damn, all right, like you really had to go there and say that? And then I go, I know I'm not that though. I know how my man views me. I know when I look at the mirror, I think that I'm beautiful. So I read the comment. I'm like, okay. And then I keep going. I don't even remember half the shit that in the moment bothered me. It didn't dictate my day though.
Yep. Because you made the choice not to allow it to affect you.
Right. I'm the only person who can ruin my day. The way I see it is you can make people feel a certain way. If Joe Blow over there said something nasty about my mother passing away, I would be absolutely livid. And if Joe Blow didn't say that, I would have been fine.
So you're telling me that external circumstances dictate everything about your life?
Yes.
Because they don't do that to me. They give me information and allow me to make decisions based off the information I got.
Yeah.
So if Joe Blow over there said something about my dead mom, I have the decision now to either punch him in the fucking face and knock his teeth out or go, you're a dumbass, and walk away.
Yeah.
Because I have a choice. Will it affect me emotionally? Maybe. Depends on how close I am to my mom. Depends on if I'm still processing that emotion and deling with that.
Right.
But that is a me problem.
Yeah.
That external information, whether it came to me or not, as she just said, will obviously have a sway in the decision that I have to make because now I have the information, but I still have to make the decision. It's my choice.
Yeah. I have little Rolodex of information in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I notice things. You know, if something happens the first time, I take note of it. And due to my mental illnesses, I have to process whether this is a logical reaction or if this is how I'm just feeling in the moment. And I'll look back on it in a week or two and be like, you know what? It really wasn't that big of a deal.
Yep.
If it happens a second time and I have that thought process, but I still have the same emotional reaction, then I recognize that this is something that should be communicated and say this is something I'm still working through, but just so you're aware so it doesn't become prevalent. I don't want it to snowball. This is something that we should keep an eye on until I figure out what the root is. I don't remember where I was going with that. And now I'm going to jump onto another train. In that moment of Joe Blow saying something negative about my mother who just passed away,
what you say about my mama?
I am not somebody who is going to return their whatever remark with hostility. I'm just going to look and be like, that's how you're going to present yourself as a human being.
And she goes, this where you want to be when Jesus comes back?
That's where you want to be when Jesus comes back?
That's how you're going to choose to act in public?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say shit like that because that's going to get people thinking like, damn, like he really did just say that. He did say that in front of a bunch of people. Wow, I'd never say that in front of it. Yeah, I would be kind of pissed off if someone said that about my mom. I like getting other people thinking about someone's actions. Yeah. So if you become absolutely livid and blow up on this person, that is definitely a choice. You could also do what I would do and say, that's how you're going to be? Everybody saw that. All right. So in this example that this person gave about somebody saying something nasty about the mother recently passing away, that person saying something is information that you just processed. You heard him say it. You're processing that information. And then your emotional reaction to that is your, let's say, primal reaction. Your first reaction is your instinctual reaction. Your adrenaline's going and now you're in fight or flight. In that moment, you definitely have a choice. You can jump on that train of the adrenaline and just ride it and blow up. Or you can take a second, okay, I recognize that he just said something super shitty. The way that I conduct myself now will also be perceived by everybody who's watching. Everything is a choice. So in my opinion, other people do influence and make you feel a certain way.
They influence the external data, absolutely.
People definitely have influence when you put weight on their influence.
Right. But you make a decision on how you're going to react or get angry or sad.
Right.
Also, anger is not your true emotion. Anger is a mask that you use to deal with whatever you're going through until you can properly process what's going on to identify why you're hurting or why you're feeling an emotion that you're feeling.
I have that book, Anger, that kind of deep dives what it means to be angry and how to find the root of things. Yeah, I do agree. People definitely do influence. But like I said, it's the weight that you put on their words. We have amassed a following. We have an influence in people's lives. And it's because people put weight on the things that we say.
Right.
There are millions of other people. I have a TikTok that's at like 8 million views and only has like 2 million likes. That was, 6 million people who just kept scrolling?
Right.
I had zero influence on them because they didn't care what I was talking about.
Yep. It's a good way to look at that.
Right. So it really is about the weight that you put on the words of others.
You realize that by allowing people to manipulate your emotions and dictate the way that you feel about things with their words, you are nothing more than a marionette puppet.
Right, yeah.
That's why the media is so effective at controlling the population.
Yeah.
Because there are not enough free-thinking people out there to go, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. Let me figure out why.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Nobody can make you do anything. Period. Even if somebody put a gun to your head and told you to make a decision, you still have a decision.
Right.
May not be a good one. May have a really shitty outcome.
It might be a really hard path.
Still your fucking decision.
Yeah. There was a time after I left my kid's dad, I was homeless. And I was couch hopping. I slept in my car some nights. My kids always had a place to stay. Dad was living at his mom's. So I would sleep on their couch the time that I would have my kids. And then I would go sleep on a couch. And then I would sleep in my car. Did I want to live that way? No, I didn't. I knew, though, that to provide my kids the lifestyle that I wanted them and having two happy parents instead of seeing two parents in conflict, that's what I had to do. And now the kids have the dopest life I could have ever imagined for them. And I would do it all over again. I was a severe alcoholic during that time, too. Everything is a choice.
Yep.
I choose to stop drinking. I'm hung up on the marionette comment you made.
Why?
Because it's true. When you say that other people do influence and make you feel a certain way, you really are nothing more than a puppet. People are just pulling your strings.
Right.
Pushing your buttons.
So now that I've said that, look at mob mentality.
Yeah.
You're not thinking, you're following the lead of someone else.
You want to talk about mob mentality? I made that TikTok commenting on a joke that a woman made about how, I can't even remember her name, but she made a joke. The dude said that he was financially well off and that a woman's income means nothing. And I said, distasteful in my opinion, not a funny joke. Her fans went after me, calling me a white supremacist, all of these other things. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? That mob mentality blew my mind.
Right. And it goes real quick like that.
Oh my, it was overnight. Overnight, I woke up and that video had like 13,000 comments.
Yep.
Absolutely insane. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
That video also, because of the way that you chose to respond to that video, you got a very different outcome from that. And it got to the point that a lot of her other fans were like, what the fuck are you guys going on about? There's nothing racist about this. As a comedian, you should know that not everybody's going to like your joke, and that's okay.
Right.
And the way that, and they were on the page saying that I'm a fan of hers, and the way that you handled this was a lot better the way that she did, and she ended up deleting the fucking video.
Yeah, she deleted the stitch she made.
Reaction versus response.
Correct.
That mob mentality, what I was getting at though, is you allow people to influence your feelings.
Yeah.
You feel like whatever because somebody made you feel that way instead of thinking for yourself and going, hey, this is not right. It's why the media is so effective. It's why so many people hate politicians on both sides of the fence, because you got left-wing media outlets or right-wing media outlets giving you half the information, and nobody's taking the time to do the research for themselves to understand what's going on.
Right.
And the ones who are truly informed are like, wait a minute, both sides are fucking wrong. Y'all are a bunch of idiots for acting like this. Do the fucking research. If you're getting angry about something, research your fucking feelings. Search your feelings, Jeff. Like, I don't understand.
Right.
Welcome to the dark side.
You know, I love sitting with myself in my dark side and learning myself and understanding myself and the things that trigger me and make me tick. And my own psychology fascinates me. She goes on to say, people manipulate the situation to make someone feel a certain way. Just like when you show Chris attention or Peaches attention and tell her she's gorgeous, which she is, and makes her feel good and happy.
No, she chooses to feel good and happy.
But if you neglected her...
Hold on. If it was some creepy motherfucker saying the exact same thing that I was saying to you, would you feel good about it?
No, I would tell him to stop. And if he persisted, there would be an altercation of some kind.
Okay, so it's not what I'm saying. It's the fact that I'm giving you attention and you love me and you're choosing to take it in a positive light. And
Correct.
therefore you're happy that somebody that loves you is giving you that attention. All of that is a decision.
Yeah.
I don't make you feel shit. If you were mad at me and I tried to flirt with you like that while you were fucking angry with me, would it have the same effect?
No, I've been like, babe, now's not the time.
Right. It's a decision.
Yeah.
It's a choice because you could also allow it to happen and hoping that it would change your mood. It's a decision. I don't make you feel anything, happy,
Right.
sad, mad, or otherwise. Negated.
Right. She also goes to say, but if you neglected her, it would make her feel unhappy. So, to a certain extent, if you were making the choice to not be intimate with me and there was no underlining reason besides you wanted to be an asshole, then I would be unhappy.
Right. But that's not me making you feel that way.
Right. That would be you presenting me with information and I'm unhappy because my husband's showing me he doesn't care about me anymore.
Right.
So that would be my decision reaction of this hurts.
Right. But that's not me making you feel that.
No. But she says if you were to neglect her, there are times where you're depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm not unhappy because you haven't commented on me in 3 days. Or, I can't even think of another example. When you're depressed, there are times where you go a day or two without telling me I'm beautiful or whatever. And I'm not unhappy because it doesn't happen. I recognize you're going through it and I pray for you. I hope you feel better. And I do the little things that I can to help you feel better, but I'm not unhappy. That's I feel like it's a blanket statement. There's different forms of neglection that people want to claim. Like how gaslit is a blanket term people want to use instead of just specifically saying, you know, I know this happened. I have people who were there who saw this happen and you're telling me it didn't. That's the problem that we're having at hand. Did all that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You look absolutely agitated.
No, I'm processing a lot. I don't care how this is laid out. There's not a scenario where you're going to convince me that somebody can make you feel something other than pain. If I stabbed
Right.
you, I'm making you feel that pain because I stabbed you.
Yeah.
And that's only because I'm literally the one pushing the knife through your skin. Other than that, in terms of feelings, emotional feelings, nobody can make you feel anything. It's a choice. If you had 3 people in your life doing the same thing, you're going to feel something different from all 3 because of the way that you're choosing to respond to the situation.
Right. So let me hit you with a hypothetical. So in that instance where you say nobody can make you feel anything besides pain, say there's been a couple who's been together for 15 years and the husband thinks everything's great. No signs of the wife being upset, whatever's happening. And then he finds out that she's been having an affair for 6 months.
Okay.
And in that instant, she really doesn't give a reason as to why she did it. Could you say that in that moment, she knew that action was going to hurt him and she did it anyway, so she did it to purposely hurt him?
No.
Okay.
I would say that she was being selfish.
Okay.
And probably didn't think that she would get caught and made a decision to please herself because she wanted self-gratification or however that you want to word that.
Okay.
And he wasn't a factor in that decision at all.
All right.
I think that, and we can elaborate on that, in the event that she did cheat for 6 months and came to tell him about it and he was hurt or angry, the fact that she cheated, that's not her making him feel those things. He's in love with her and is choosing to feel those things because he could go, I'm not going to get angry about this. You did what you did. I'm going to accept that I had maybe I wasn't doing what I needed in your life and I pushed you into the arms of another man, but I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then leave. Is there going to be a depression that comes after that and a whole lot of fucking work that's got to be done? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he didn't get angry. He chose to go, okay, I'm not doing this. You made your decision. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Instead of punching holes in the wall and flipping desks over and making a whole lot of blame and like,
Right.
because he understands that she did what she did. He had no control over that. He chose to take the high road and left.
Okay. So same scenario. Say they had the laid out expectation of we're going to be monogamous. If you're having issues, come and tell me. I don't want cheating to be an option. You know, if your needs aren't being met, talk to me about it. And that didn't happen. Then there's that sense of betrayal in that situation with the expectations laid out that, you can come to me if you want to try something new, your needs aren't being met, in turn, would they hurt that person? Would they be the cause of their hurt?
No. They would be the cause of betrayal.
Okay.
And the lie. The hurt is a decision.
Okay. I'm asking you these questions so people don't ask them in the comments.
Right. The hurt is a decision.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how much you love someone. If you pay attention to what somebody's doing and you take accountability where your shortcomings are, because in that scenario, there must have been something that's happened. I truly believe that. It may not always be the case, but I believe in most scenarios, there's some underlying issue that's gotten, it may have been 7 or 8 months ago that it happened, but now it's coming to fruition. Something somewhere along the lines happened that changed that intense love that two people feel for each other. In that scenario, if that happened, cool, you showed me who you are as a person. I'm not going to put myself in a position to be hurt again because this sucks knowing that you did that. You're not making me angry. The hurt is there. Absolutely, the hurt is there. But I'm going to dictate how much I'm going to allow that to affect my life. Am I going to go, that's just who she is as a person. I know that I'm better than this. I'm going to go fuck her friend. Vengeance. No anger there.
Yeah.
It's a choice. All of it's a choice. It's a decision. You always have decisions. You always have choices the way that you're going to choose to deal with shit.
Right.
If you find what the root of the actual issue is, you're not going to get angry. And if you are the root of the fucking problem, you can fix yourself. And if they're the root of the problem, you just know to look out for that shit next time so that you're not in a position that's going to put you in a detriment. Go on about your life.
Right.
I'm not saying that people can't feel things. Because everyone feels shit. Everyone has emotions. You have emotional responses to things. Your emotional maturity dictates the way that you respond to those things.
Correct. The anger and the anxiety and the things that people feel are legit, like instinctual, ingrained reactions.
They're reactions.
Right. Like animalistic, primal brain, do or die reactions. Those are the ones in those moments where you have to sit down and go, okay, I have to get past this feeling. It could take a couple of minutes. It could take 3 days to get over that feeling. Then you have to process the information and then react logically to it.
By saying what you did made me angry, it validates a response or a reaction in any way, shape, or form. They said this, so I punched them in the throat. But I wouldn't have hit them if they didn't say this shit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Right. You keep your hands to yourself, no matter how angry you get. You preach that all the time. You hear constantly as a man, you never put your hands on a woman no matter what she's doing to you.
Right. But if that's the case, if that's the argument, they made me angry. Well, if that's the case, you made me punch you.
Yeah.
You said some foul shit, so I knocked your fucking teeth out.
Yeah,
Shouldn't have said that.
That would never hold up in a court of law.
No, it fucking wouldn't.
If this person, using her example of the dude saying something about his mom that made her livid, and then in turn assaulted that man, and now she's in handcuffs and she goes to the officer, well, I understand that I assaulted him, but he said something really nasty about my mom who just died. You're still gonna get arrested for assault.
Yep.
So what I'm asking is, can you explain to me?
Hold on. Here's an even deeper thought.
Okay.
In that mom scenario, do you think that it's anger or hurt that she lost her mom in that moment and somebody saying something negative about somebody that she just recently lost who she's grieving? And instead of being hurt further or figuring out what's going on, she's choosing anger in the moment because she doesn't know how to process her feelings. Because that's not an anger thing.
I think it feels good in that moment for those people to lash out like that. In moments like that where people lash out and they scream and they yell and they throw things and they punch, they're exerting an energy inside of them that they don't know how to process, which is the anger.
Right. Well, it's not anger. It's other emotions that they don't know how to process, and it's being shown as anger.
Right. That's where that energy comes from.
So in that scenario where somebody says something super negative about her mom that just died, made up scenario, do you think that she's actually getting angry because somebody said something, or that she's hurt because her mom is no longer here and she's got a whole bunch of grieving that she hasn't processed through yet? And like you just said, she's using that as a reason to get that out of her system. It's not the same thing.
Right. So what I'm asking is, can you please explain that to me so I can understand properly what you mean and not get flashbacks of my nasty ex being mean and saying it's not his fault?
Getting flashbacks of somebody being mean, it's not his fault. It's his fault that he said the shit he said.
Right.
He's obviously an asshole piece of shit human being if he's treating you poorly. Or maybe you deserved it. I don't know. Did you kick him in the nuts first and he said some foul shit to you? Because, like, I would say
Right.
it's justified.
Were you sending inappropriate photos to men on Snapchat?
Yeah.
And he was like, hey.
Quit being a whore. Like,
Yeah.
because that's the behavior that you're exuding right now.
Not saying that this is what the person was doing.
The point of that is we don't know the scenario as to why he was being mean. So for me to call him a piece of shit without the information was wrong. So I was trying to say that there
Context
could have been a
matters.
reason behind it, right? But if he was being mean to you and saying hurtful things that he knew was going to hurt you, you made the choice to be hurt, allowed him to manipulate you to feel the way that you're feeling, knowing he was doing it to manipulate you.
Yeah, there's no ownership in the fact that she decided to stay for so long knowing that that's what he was doing.
Right.
Choice theory is really fucking me up.
I didn't know there was a name for that. Until I read that book, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know there was a term for it. I didn't know that it was
Yeah.
even prevalent in psychology. I have always lived my life like that. Everything is a fucking decision. Whether you win or lose, the outcome of things all come down to the decisions that you make, the way that you react or respond to situations. So if what I'm saying triggers you because you had a bad previous experience, what you're telling me is you haven't done the work on yourself to get past that, to understand that you had a decision in all of that. He treated you poorly the first time. You recognized that it was a trigger for you. You addressed it and he continued doing it, which shows you that he's manipulating your emotional state because you're not emotionally mature enough to handle the situation as it's coming. You also chose to stay through it so that that process could repeat itself. All of those are decisions. Every single aspect that is a decision.
Yeah.
Knowing that you've left him or have now moved on and having flashbacks of the mean things that he said to you shows me that you haven't processed your shit, which is also a decision.
Correct. You never heal if your flashbacks don't become a study session.
Yeah.
You ready for a thank you?
Yes, please.
Any final thoughts on that one?
I'm not going to apologize if the things that we say and do triggers you. I don't expect people to apologize to me if the things that they say trigger me. If I get upset or angry about something, that is me making a decision. That's a me problem.
Yeah.
If I get offended, that's a me problem. The way that I handle the arguments and the conversations and manipulative scenarios is a me problem because I have a decision on how I'm going to handle every facet of my fucking life. And if I make bad decisions, that's nobody else's fault but my own.
Right.
That's my final thought. You have a choice always.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I'm not going to apologize either if people feel triggered by the things we say. I am empathetic. I understand it sucks to be triggered and not understanding why you're feeling this way and having that fight or flight mode kick in. It sucks. It's necessary, though, to understand who you are as a person and to grow and become a better version and evolve and actually live the life you want to live instead of being trapped in the past and reliving things that are no longer happening. So this email is just titled, "Thank You."
Dope.
I'm sorry if this email is long and awkward. We have never reached out to people online, but we felt we should reach out to how you guys have helped our marriage. Hopefully it will bring some positivity to your day. We became friends in February of 2017, started dating in April of 2018, and got married in September of 2021. I like the timeline with this. This is a very good timeline. We always felt our communication was strong, but we never knew how to navigate the difference between dating and marriage. We both come from divorced families, experienced abuse, and never saw a healthy relationship growing up. Getting married, all we knew is that we loved each other and we were going to succeed at what our partners couldn't. Currently, our ages are 23 and 24, and no children. We wanted to say thank you because you put into words what we have been trying to figure out in our marriage: traditional gender roles. A lot of people our age don't want traditional gender roles in their home. Growing up, we never were in a household that reflected this, and we only ever saw negative content towards this ideology. Until your content started showing up on our feeds. I love that. I love that we're breaking up the monotony of the negativity. And I, the wife, was the first one to come across your videos on TikTok and quickly jumped over to YouTube and Spotify to watch the podcast.
Love that.
Right away, this opened new conversations for us and how we should communicate. We started doing the check-ins and it's been amazing. We wrote down a list of expectations, and we believe this will help relieve a lot of stress we have in our lives. Where we thought we were communicating perfectly, we realized we could do better. We can always be better.
Yep.
We hope you guys know you are making positive changes in other people's lives and relationships. We appreciate the time and energy you take to put out content. You have given us more tools and knowledge to further our marriage and kick life's ass. Be well and thank you. That's dope.
You know, I know that our content has changed a lot since the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, we were doing the gentleman, how to be a good woman thing, things that make our relationship well. And like, we did still emails, but we weren't getting emails at the volume we're getting emails now.
Yeah.
And even our podcast, when we were doing 2 and 3 hour podcasts, were a lot of banter back and forth and discussions that we were having about how we've improved our lives, how we work through things, how we work on being good for each other. And like, we discussed a lot. And now we've leaned more into emails and like trying to help people's situations. And we can only read the emails with what we've been given. And the emails have changed. I feel like when we were talking about our marriage more and talking about the things that we do for each other and like the way that we have built our foundation, our content was very different than what it is now.
Yeah.
I want to find a way to get back to the original content we were doing. Because thank you emails like that, where they mention the check-ins and they learn that they need to set boundaries and understand each other's communications. Because how many times have we stopped a conversation and been like, I need to know what you mean by that word. How do you define that? How are you using that right now? Because if I say something and you say something and it's the same word, but we have different understanding of what the word is, we're not going to have the same conversation.
Right.
And that's fucking important. I don't know. I do still very much enjoy the podcast. I love having the moments with you. This is a lot of good conversation that we have. I miss the emails that we were getting in the beginning because they were very specific.
Yeah. I had a lot more fun in the beginning.
Yeah. Do you think it's because they were more relatable? Because people were reaching out going, hey, we saw you on TikTok. We saw this one specific podcast you did. We implemented it in our life. It's changed this, this, and this, but now we're stuck here. How do we address that? Like, I just feel like we've addressed a lot of this shit so much that we're starting to repeat ourselves.
Yeah. You know, I even thought that we should revisit like the gentleman and the woman video. And
I was going to do a video about situational awareness.
Yeah.
Because that was something that was a very big topic in the beginning of all of this. And even with the men's group, I had them, I have a document on the computer that we can sit down and actually read and do. But I agree, we should be doing shit like that again.
You know, I even thought about doing a video of like the things that I do to heighten's probably not the right word, but exude femininity. I'm like, I don't know. I view women's hands as like dainty, right? So I do very like when I swish my smoke away.
Yeah.
You commented on that. It's a very like, I'm not, I'm fucking, it's very feminine and dainty to me. That's fluid to look at. I feel like I should be like a cool moving stream in life and.
A cool moving stream?
Yeah, like peace. And I love the smell of like fresh rain and dew on plants, like wet plants in the morning. That's my goal to be in life. So I want to like have like that femininity. And like when I'm wearing a dress with heels, I squat down. You don't bend over in public. Like if I'm at the shop or if I'm grocery shopping, I put my body against the aisle. So my butt's not in the middle of everybody's way. And I squat down and I make sure my hand goes and tucks under my knees. Yeah. Thought about doing that.
There's that would be I don't know. That would actually be a good video. Having content conversations like that would not be a bad thing. Your skincare routine probably wouldn't be a bad video.
Yeah.
It really does come down to setting up the cameras, giving you a lapel mic and just letting you do your thing and then editing it together to try to get like what you want out of it. I really do want to get back to some of the original content we were doing because I enjoyed that more too. I enjoyed the thank you emails. I really enjoy the emails when there's problem solving there.
Me too.
When there's not like real animosity and like the emails are very detailed and very clear. We were getting 4 and 5. We got like a 9,000 word email at one point. We get like single paragraph emails like, what do I do? What the fuck do you mean? What do you do? I don't know. I don't know your life.
You know, we've been receiving a lot of emails too. We've been together for 2 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah. I don't know. I also think that it's natural for the podcast to evolve, and like getting into the interviews that we're going to be doing, which we have one tomorrow night. Getting into the interviews, I think, is going to change the pod a little bit.
What time tomorrow night?
7 or 8.
What time?
9. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'll have to look.
We have the Patreon.
I know.
Thing. Okay.
It's gonna have to get removed. I'm gonna have to move it to Saturday or something.
Okay.
I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the interview than I am about the Patreon content. We can always go live whenever for Patreon. Those
Right.
interviews are when I can get them in, and that's her schedule, so that's what works.
Well, it changes my weekend a little bit now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could, if we have to not do a live for Patreon, I'm sure they'll understand. They've all been very, very honest about that. But knowing that like we can do a revised gentleman video or do a situational awareness, and you could do another cooking video, or you could do a skincare routine, or you can do things that make you feel like a woman. I don't know. I obviously there's a lot of things that come to mind, but I don't want a lot of our house on the internet. And that brings in a problem too. Like showing our bathroom is not a big deal, but if somebody saw the bathroom, 4 bedrooms, the fucking living room, the kitchen, and they knew the layout of our house, that could be a problem for me. Like mentally.
I don't know. Even just showing the bathroom layout, people can search that.
Yeah.
I watched a video the other day of a mom trying to show her 14-year-old that anybody can find you on your location. Like you can just be outside walking in front of a CVS. So she tagged a guy and she was like, all right, I'm standing outside. And she did like a little 360 and she was like, find me. And he did.
Yeah.
The city and state where she is based on 3 buildings in her video.
It's wild. Yep. Anyways, the whole point of that is that we can actually do other content that brings us back to the kind of the original feel of the podcast. The podcast is going to evolve. It's never going to be what it was in the beginning because we are not who we were in the beginning. We have a whole lot of life experience in a very short amount of time because of these emails and what we're doing in terms of the evolution of the pod. I do believe that the interviews are going to be prevalent. I believe getting people here to actually sit down with us and have conversations will be prevalent. It would be super dope in the future to be able to do maybe not even the live calls. The more I think about coaching, the less I want to do it. I like the format that we have for the live reads where we can ask people questions while we're reading because it's a very different feel. But I don't know if I want to be prevalent or present when 2 people are trying to work through their shit and arguing with each other. I don't want to be a mediator. I don't want to be a referee. I'm not trying to do that. And I don't believe that there's a lot of people out there who are emotionally mature enough to have that conversation without fighting with each other.
Right.
And I also don't think there's going to be a lot of people out there who can check their emotion in the moment to have the conversation and then have the after conversation that's going to happen between the 2 of them, because I would respect it a lot more than 2 people having a fucking meltdown while we're in the middle of a session. I think that it's more of a therapist's responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't know. What do you guys think the evolution of the podcast is going to be? Because we have changed the shows around. We do have new things going. We're vlogging for Discord. Like, there has been changes. But what do you think is next? I think the interviews are going to be the big thing for us.
Yeah.
I know that people want to see a day of your life. Like, people want, like, true vlogs with you.
With me?
Yeah, they want to see you cooking. They want to see your care routine. People have asked you to do makeup tutorials and space buns tutorials, and people,
Are you kidding me?
people want to connect with you on that level. They enjoy that. What are you doing?
A space bun tutorial, because it's not content. This is what I do. I split my hair down the middle. That's it.
Ta-da.
Gotcha, bitch.
What are you doing?
A space bun tutorial, because it's not content. This is what I do. I split my hair down the middle. I grab this one, right? Ponytail it, bun it, and spread it. That's it.
Ta-da.
It's not content. I'm not interesting.
Yeah.
I don't live life like that. I'm boring when I cook. I listen to podcasts and Dr. Phil. And I say stupid shit out loud.
Well, I mean, maybe you should do I don't know. There's got to be something that you can do that's content that will give the people the attention that they want from you.
Why do you want attention from me?
Smoke sessions. I don't know. They like watching you. They think you're interesting.
I could do smoke sessions. If TikTok didn't ban me every
Yeah.
time I had my vape, I would do smoke sessions on TikTok.
Yeah. You could just say it's nicotine.
I could. They would still block me
Yeah.
because the vape.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could do that on YouTube.
You could do it on YouTube.
Just go live and get stupid stoned and chit chat, I guess.
Could do private chats with members.
Yeah.
Could do like, you know that you can do private live streams where you invite people by email only.
On YouTube?
Yep. And you could do a private live stream with invite only and have 15 people in there where you're all smoking and doing shit and just record the whole thing and stick that on YouTube as content. Not that I think that that's where our channel needs to go, but it is an
Right.
idea for content. I thought about that with the men's group because I can do the men's group as a recording where the camera's just on me, but I can have their voices, and I could do that as a live stream, and I can record the entire thing and post it later. But I don't know. It's a lot. It's 5 o'clock. I think we're well over the 3 hour mark at this point. So.
Okay. Well, there's something else I wanted to say because you just brought up the men's group, made me think about it. I'm not going to continue the women's group.
No.
I don't have the time.
Yep.
Like, our daughter was just sick. I was literally cleaning vomit 5 minutes before we had to come down here and sit down for a live. And
Yep.
it's just, I don't have the time.
It's a lot.
It really is.
Yep.
Everything with the podcast and taking care of the household and the kids and doctor's appointments and being sick. And I have to read books and make notes and document things. And
Dude, I get it.
it's too much. It's a lot.
I know.
And
I know.
I'm cooking for 2 hours straight in the
Yep.
kitchen.
I get it. I know. I'm at this. I have the same thing going with the men's group because this month is the end of the men's group, and I had this thought in my head last night, and I talked to Dakota and Zach about it because they're my go-to guys right now about everything. I don't know what I want to do in terms of moving forward because I know that I have value that I can add to people's lives in terms of mentorships. But doing groups where you got 10 or 20 people that are paying for it and they're not showing up, I feel like I'm taking their money and they're not. It's a them problem, and I know
Right.
that. But I have integrity, and
Makes you feel
it makes me
fraudulent.
feel greasy.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like a big old greasy fucking scumbag, and I don't want to do that. So, do I charge more and do one-on-one mentoring, or do I fucking continue the group process and do the group calls? And Dakota mentioned last night that I never said I was going to do weekly calls. I said I was going to do one a month, so they would have gotten 2 live calls, and I've done one almost every week that we've been here.
Yeah.
And that adds a whole lot of value to the men's group, but there's only 4 or 5 people out of the 10 that is paying for it that actually show up to the calls. So like, I don't feel like they're getting the value of what I really have to offer them. And like the calls also devolve into nonsense after the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they're not getting the attention. I feel neglectful
Yeah.
just because I have so many other things going on. And planning meals for the week and going grocery shopping and budgeting, and before I know it, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, holy shit, I haven't checked the women's group.
So do you think that you would keep the women's group chats on Discord and just jump in and be relevant when you can? Or do you think you're going to have them delete the chats too? Yeah. For those of you who don't know what that is, Patreon is a member-based subscription website that allows us to do early release, live streams, exclusive content, vlogs, and we have our own Discord server that is exclusive to our Patreon community.
That Discord is absolutely insane. It is an ever-growing community of like-minded people who you could say practice what we preach, have implemented the things that we have suggested, and it's working.
Would you go as far as to say that they're getting better?
I'd go as far as saying that they're definitely getting better. So if you have questions, you need unbiased opinions, you don't feel safe going to anybody in your present life, I would highly recommend checking out the Discord.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't want to support us financially, that's totally fine. The best thing that you can do in terms of helping us grow this channel is by sharing our content. The more people that see what we do, the more likely it is to get shared, the more people that are going to support what we are doing, the longer we are going to do this. Back to your regular scheduled program.
I would leave the chats. Women really do get a lot of use out of the women's group.
Right.
Then we have the faith group that women use.
We have the same thing in the men's group.
Yeah. So I don't see any point. There's no cons in having them. I wouldn't be doing the private women's group chat again.
I would just leave. If you already have that private chat up, I would leave it because because right now we have, we had chapter 1 and chapter 2 as the men's groups because I broke them down into groups of 5. Excuse me. And the chapter 1 group is very, like, everybody's very into the live calls and shit. So we have the private groups, and I'm going to leave those private chats because it is only 5 people in each chat, and those people have become bonded. So it makes sense for them to have that place But I'm going to keep I'm going to make the non-private men's group like available for anyone to just jump in and chat. But I don't know.
I think that's what we have to with the women's group now.
Yeah. But I don't even having the private groups, if I can jump in and go, all right, guys, what's everyone reading? And we can just have a book discussion when I have the time to do it, or who wants to do a live call on Sunday night or whatever. That it's on my time.
Yeah.
This week, last night I almost missed a live call because I had shit going on in my car.
And it was totally out of your hands.
Way out of my fucking hands, but it made me look bad. And I managed to make it back at like 5 or 10 after 9, but I told them 8 o'clock. And at like 7:45, I was like, I'm going to be 8:30. And then right before 8:30, I was like, be closer to 9. But I kept them in the loop so that everybody knew what was going on. And then I sat for a little over an hour in the chat with them. We ended up talking about firearms and fucking knives and whiskey and shit. So it wasn't like it was a waste of time for me, but I don't feel like
it was productive.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to be more hands-on and like giving real advice, and maybe I just charge for individual calls and do it that route. I don't know. There's got to be a way that I can do that and not feel greasy about it.
Individual calls, I don't think is a bad idea.
Yeah.
If we offered them in the men's and the women's group, Saturday we have 3 slots available, whatever price a call.
Yeah.
First slot's 15 minutes. We have one for an hour, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something to talk about off the pod. I don't know. I got to be honest. We've got so much going on that every time we talk about doing something new, all I can think about is how time squished we are right now. And it would be nice if like our regular lives didn't have a factor in it. You know what I mean? Like if we had a normal work week and we were operating within that normal work week and we had our normal life outside of that, it would be very different. But because it's an all-day thing for us, our lives are just fucking chaos.
It's consumed.
I enjoy it, but it's definitely consumed.
Yeah.
It's exciting though.
Yeah, I have fun at times.
At times.
Yeah. There are definitely times where I'm burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen. I do think that we're doing a lot less content now. I mean, we're still recording more because we're doing live streams and shit a lot more than we were, but like because it's not 3 episodes of emails, it has a different feel to me. And because I know the podcast is evolving, all of it feels different. So like when we do the book breakdowns and you're doing the Peaches Teaches thing, for me, obviously it's brainless. I just sit there and listen for something cool to happen, then I can chime in on it. You're doing the work on that aspect. And then I have to edit and shit. So I guess maybe there is still an ebb and flow of the work aspect, but because we're not doing emails and negative shit the entire time, it feels good.
Yeah.
The ruminations and revelations are my favorite thing to do.
Me too. I have a lot of fun with those.
Side pieces or whatever we're calling them now.
We need to record for Patreon.
Yes, we do. Yes, we fucking do. But we have to go live in 2 hours, and I would like to figure out dinner.
You want to do something fun tomorrow to record? Like we can take a camera with us?
Where are we going? What are we doing tomorrow? No, I have to go. We're getting our windows tinted tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we got to get up early and drive to Fort Myers tomorrow.
What's in Fort Myers?
My window tint guy.
Right.
Yep.
But one of our cars will be done before the other.
It depends. It depends if Ron does both of the cars, yes. Shout out to Shade's Window Tinting in Fort Myers, little free plug. He's the only person that I let handle my cars for window tint because he's an authorized 3M dealer and he's got that 100% or 99% IR blocking heat shit. And he does a really good job on my cars.
He does.
So
really good.
Shade's Custom Window Tinting in Fort Myers. If you're in Southwest Florida, he's your guy. Tell him that Chris sent you from To Be Better. What you doing over there?
Stretching. My lat is killing me. And I can just see you eating me up with your eyes.
That's because you went, and your sound effects matter.
Yeah?
Yeah. The mixing board that is your mind where all of your little buttons play out. Some of them sound very similar to other sounds. And that train went off the tracks and into the gutter and exploded. And now there's toxic waste everywhere in my brain.
Toxic waste.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's little men in hazmat suits trying to clean that up real quick so that we can function about our day. With that being said, we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.